Is this the real life? Is this just fantasy? Caught in the grind, no escape from me. Open your eyes, look up to the skies and see I'm just a poor boy, scraping by minimum wage. Born in the shadows of the city lights, concrete cradle under endless nights. Daddy worked 2 jobs, mama prayed for rain. Bills like chains rattling around my brain. But I read the books when the wolves were at the door. Charts and candles on the bedroom floor. Stocks in the morning, real estate at noon. Silver and gold under the harvest moon. Sweat on my collar, fire in my veins. Every dollar saved was breaking free from the pain. They said play it safe, boy, stay in line. Clock in, clock out till the end of time. But the system's a cage with a velvet disguise, promising heaven while it steals your life. Rise from the ashes I built my throne. Rise. Turn pennies to empires of my own. Stocks and stones, bricks of gold, silver rivers in the stories I told. I broke the wheel, I broke the road, golden chains, no more. Golden chains, no more. I sold my fear for a pocket full of grit. Learned the hard math, made the numbers fit. While they were laughing, I was making my move. Every red defeat had something left to prove. Late night hunger and a borrowed chair, 1 cracked lamp and 1,000 stairs. I watched the weak hands fold and bend, then I doubled down and called it the end. Now the same old names come crawling back, knocking on my door with their polished stack. But I know that sound, I know that price. I paid in blood for this smaller life. They said stay small, boy, stay in line. Clock in, clock out till the end of time. But the system's a cage with a velvet disguise, promising heaven while it steals your life. Rise from the ashes I built my throne. Rise. Turn pennies to empires of my own. Stocks and stones, bricks of gold, silver rivers in the stories I told. I broke the wheel, I broke the road, golden chains, no more hope. Golden chains, no more. If I fall, let the table shake. If I burn, let the whole town wake. I was carved by the ache, sharpened by the cold. From a poor boy's hand to a heart of gold. Hear me now, I won't go back, I won't go back, I won't go back. No, let the ceiling crack. From the ashes I built my throne. Turn pennies to empires of my own. Stocks and stones, bricks of gold, silver rivers in the stories I told. I broke the wheel, I broke the road, golden chains, no more hope.
Anytime.
All right. Good evening, everybody. Thank you for taking time out of your day to hang out and chat with us today. I have a guest on who is, from what I can tell, I don't know him very well, but we've been chatting a little bit and joined his Discord and everything. And from what I can tell, we're probably more similar than dissimilar. Same mannerisms and ideas, and both seem to be, I guess, business oriented and growth oriented. I don't want to speak for you. So, Anon, if you want to take a moment and share with everybody, you know, who you are and what you do, and kind of, I guess, how you got into the business that you're in.
Yeah, no, appreciate it. And I actually know you from Flesh and Blood back in the day when you were was it Riddlerman Gaming or whatever the channel was?
Riddlerman Gaming.
I assume it's this channel renamed.
Yes, correct.
Because you know it was kind of around the MetaZoo boom, whatever. So I was just trying to figure out what all these indie games. I mean, now we can call them garbage indie games, but back then it was just indie games in the middle of the COVID hype. And yeah, I watched a bunch of the Flesh and Blood ones. Which most of them didn't last very long. I think Salty Whale had one for like 3 seconds, and he blew up, and he had a massive Discord, and then he just disappeared. And
yeah,
you know, there's a bunch of those. MetaZoo blew itself up because those guys took too much money out of the business. That's a story for another day. I know a little bit of behind the scenes there. But yeah, I mean, I just kind of followed games for a while, and you know, you joined Discord, and I'm like, wait a minute. That looks familiar because you placed an order, and I went to pull something up, or you joined and I pulled the address up. I'm like, huh, that looks familiar. And I just kind of put 2 and 2 together and reached out to you. I'm like, okay, that's great. Yeah, we have probably 10 folks in Discord that are subs that have pretty sizable YouTube channels, which is cool.
But, okay.
Yeah. And anyway, you know, just back to me. We run an LGS. We're building our online presence. I'm obviously doing YouTube content, kind of use that to leverage into a Discord / you know, Rudy sort of kind of model. You know, the way I look at it is there just has to be enough meat on the bone for everybody to eat, if it's possible. Sometimes there's not because the price of shit is kind of tight. But you know, making sure that it's a reasonable discount to market, everybody can eat, everybody's happy, and you know, from my perspective, it's an invaluable sales funnel. When things slow down or speed up or I get more, etc. Yeah. So, you know, one of the benefits of, you know, why I structured this is just being anonymous is you can talk freely. You don't have a whole lot of retribution or risk of retribution. Yeah, I've seen a lot of folks, you know, Gone Rogue Games. I enjoy his videos. I don't always agree with them, but he's out there with his face and his business blasting distribution every week. Like he's literally putting a target on his forehead. And, you know, I don't really blast distribution because I understand that side of the business, and you know what they're trying to do. They are business as well, but yeah, I could speak a little bit more freely on things. And you know, the internet Timmies are like, well, if I don't know who the source is and I don't know who you are, that it can't be true, which is fine. That's great. But you know, it gives me a little bit of autonomy and ability just to speak more freely and quite honestly share information with you guys. Like the Cypress Hill video earlier that apparently nobody in the comment section understood what the fuck I was saying. They're like, oh, $1,400, you're bragging? I'm like, I don't have a single one, dude. And it ain't gonna be $1,400 for long.
Yeah.
But I digress. So
prices shift. There's cycles.
Yeah. So that's the quick intro.
Awesome.
You know, just with Discord and just the absolute abysmal level of production on my videos, the whole reason and concept behind that is A, I'm lazy. I don't have a whole lot of time. But B, you really start to call out the younger generation of folks, or the folks that are just kind of looking for entertainment value. You know, the ones that are going to watch like Team Rocket Joey or Kira or Nostalgianomics. Like, I don't want people here for entertainment. I want people here that they want to pay attention. They want to learn the market. They want to learn something. They want to get an edge. And if not, they can get the fuck out. Because ultimately, those are the people that are going to spend money on buying a bunch of sealed product. They might buy a box, a pack, maybe a case here or there. You know, not really the audience I'm after.
No, yeah, I get it. I understand it completely. I put a lot of thought and study into the things that I'm probably going to talk about, and some of them I have decades of experience in markets, you know, financial markets and things. But you know, when I do videos and such, it's more just I want to get the information out there, and if it connects with people on that level, that's great. If they're looking for a bunch of, you know, I think you put it facial faces that look like I have my thumb up my ass, thumbnails and stuff like that. Like, that's not necessarily for me. I understand some people are, their goal is to grow a YouTube channel. That's not my goal. My goal is to kind of share my thoughts and hopefully connect with somewhat like-minded people or similar demographic type people as myself. So, yeah, no, I appreciate it. And just for like people's kind of understanding, right? The business that we're talking about is you've grown kind of like a TCG business, which is a trading card store. There's quite a bit of relations between like what a coin shop would be, since a lot of my audience is silver and gold people, right? There are a lot of relationships between like running a small coin shop and running a card store, and you have very passionate, focused people and people that like certain types of things. There's grading, there's numismatists, which are people that are like experts on the grading side. It's kind of like when you get you get really good at grading cards and stuff, and buying cards for a discount from people that are kind of sell out and moving to the next thing, whatever. There's a lot of overlap, and that's why I think kind of this space is fun to talk about. But yeah, I mean, with your business, you've grown quite a bit, right? I would assume. I don't know how long you've been doing it, but I would imagine that you probably started small and grew up. Is that how we got here?
I mean, if I told you, you probably wouldn't believe it in the first place. So I had this idea. This was like 2023, right? It was when everything was falling off a cliff. And I grew up playing Magic. I mean, I stopped after high school. Always collected, didn't really play. Like I have a pretty sizable vintage collection. I'm 46, so I kind of grew up right in the sweet spot of kind of the golden age of vintage Magic. I never had Pokemon growing up. Never had Yu-Gi-Oh. Never had any of those games, etc. So in 2023. I was just looking and just kind of dabbling a little bit. And I was thinking of a way where I could get product a little bit cheaper, right? I've always had, made good money, have a great career outside of this. I've been the CFO of 2 different companies in the last 3 years. One was public, which was miserable. The other's private now. So, a little bit different than you in the way I think. I'm more of an accountant by education. But on the operations side, most of my career, I think you're a little bit more on.
I'm
on
business finance,
yeah. Yeah, I mean, I do have my grad degree in finance, but you get both of them, right?
Yeah, it all works together.
Yeah. So I was basically looking for a way where I can get product cheaper as opposed to just buying it off TCG Player or whatever. So I reached out to a local store, and I'm like, hey, I'm happy to buy 3 cases of each release from you. Can we just figure out a fixed price over what you're paying? And he looked at me like I was fucking retarded. Like I had 3 heads. I'm like, okay, this isn't going to work. I'm dealing with a different level of person here. So the second person I reached out to was actually, I bought something off TCG Player and realized the dude was like an hour away. So went and met him, picked the stuff up. Believe it or not, I actually bought some MetaZoo shit. So this all started with MetaZoo, believe it or not.
You got sucked in.
Yeah. It's fate. Fate's a weird thing. So met the guy. We got to know each other a little bit, and I'm like, hey, I would like to buy some stuff off. He's like, yeah, just I'll buy whatever, $5 a box, and just tell me. I'll order it ahead of time. And this was obviously May 2023, like almost summer 2023. So we kind of had everything worked out. And then the store was in the basement of an apartment complex, caught on fire, burned down. Everything was shelved for like a year.
Wow.
So did nothing. Store moved to a new location, etc. And as that year went by, I started to think about different ways to, okay, well, is there a business here? And really initially the first concept was, you look at what Forge and Fire does and some of the big sellers, how do they streamline their supply chain and milk a couple bucks out of a box and really just churn spend. So the initial model was to try to make $4 or $5 a box, right? Okay. So store reopens, we placed an order. It was like 400 boxes of Stellar Crown. This was before anything in Pokemon moved. But at that point, we all kind of knew that Magic was a little bit risky because of all the reprinting that had been done over the last couple of years. But Pokemon, everything's moves up over time. And, even if you're stuck and you can't buy new stuff, obviously you sit on it for 5 years and you sell it and you make a reasonable return. Mm-hmm. So we ordered Stellar Crown, just got it set on it. I think I sold an alpha, a beta, and an unlimited starter deck that I actually bought from Daniel Chang in 2013. So I had the Providence and all that. So I sold all those, and I had a beta power set that I bought. I sold that, and that was like the seed funds for everything. Yeah,
you were a serious Magic collector back then.
Yeah. And I mean that was all stuff. I mean I have a PSA 10 Lotus, Unlimited Lotus that I bought in like 2004. So it's aged well. So I sold those, raised 150,000 or whatever the number was, and that's kind of how I seeded the whole thing. And again, this was summer 2024. So we got the Stellar Crown in. The market was kind of flat, whatever. Had no idea how we were going to sell it. The thought process was just to kind of sit on it, right? So then Surging Sparks comes out. One of my reps calls me. He's like, "Hey, I got great news. I get you 500 boxes of this set." And I'm thinking to myself, I'm like, how the fuck am I going to pay for this? Because I'm sitting on $60,000 of Stellar Crown. We have some other small stuff that's come in. So we figure that out. And this literally 2 weeks before the set releases, the boxes start going to 120, 130, 140, and the hype starts to build. And we saw it a little bit after Stellar Crown, because if you know anything about Twilight Masquerade, the Greninja started to move, and it was a little bit of a targeted buyout. And once that started moving, the whole thing was off to the races. So we're sitting on too much inventory. Come to, I think it was September, October timeframe. And I reached out to TCG Player and just said, "Hey, I know some of you stores are running these trove sales. I have some Pokemon stuff. Do you have any interest?" And I'm like, "Yeah, absolutely. We'll do a Cyber Monday sale. What do you have?" So I'm like, "I have 500 boxes of Surging Sparks." He's like, "Where do you want to price them?" I'm like, "Well, ideally, what do you want?" He's like, 10% below market. I'm like, "Great." So we priced it 10% below market, and we priced it at $179.99. Well, by the time the sale went off, the boxes were like pushing $225. And I couldn't adjust the price or anything, but we blew through 500 and 600 boxes of those that we'd paid $100 for, 180 less fees. And that kind of kicked off the capital base to start to churn things. Mm-hmm. We went from there. In the middle of 2025, we really started picking up Magic, because after a couple sets of Pokemon, and you end up churning 2x on your investment, or on what you're buying, you start to build a pretty sizable capital base. So the first set that we bought, this is actually funny, was Tarkir Dragonstorm. Right. I think I bought 60 play boxes and 24 collector boxes, because everything was open order. And then we're like, "Oh shit, we better scramble and get a bunch of Final Fantasy." So with Final Fantasy, when the orders came out, everything was open order for play boxes, because nothing was allocated yet. So we ended up getting like 900 play boxes, I think 100 collector boxes, a good amount, which we churned and we made a ton on. So we've just been kind of churning it over time. And 2024, and we did like $300,000 of sales. 2025 was just under 4 million, and this year's gonna be like 13. So it's growing really, really fast.
Yeah, that's honestly crazy impressive, because I was thinking that you were in it much longer. When you said 2023, I was like, that's
so I've been in the industry as a participant forever. But I was never really on the store side, because up until I changed jobs in 2024, I was working 80 hours a week, like for 14 years.
Yeah. No, I understand that.
You don't have time to do shit. So yeah. And now we're working on a retail site to compete with some of the big guys, where I think we have a little bit of a competitive advantage in a couple different ways. And hopefully next year, we double again.
So about 150,000 seed money from selling personal collection stuff, roughly, to kind of start the business. And then within about 18 months, 4 million revenue, and then 13 million revenue projected this year. Is that correct?
Yeah. So my 2-year anniversary is actually the day after. It's gonna be the Saturday coming up.
Oh, congratulations.
We're not even 2 years old yet.
Okay, I'm just trying to think out loud. This is not typical, is it? For what you're doing? Do you feel like you've unlocked something, or some kind of potential, or followed some kind of recipe that got you there quicker than I just don't think that most people do that in 2-3 years.
So I think it's a little bit of it's a couple of different things, right? Growing up in the finance world, information is paramount. I mean, I ran M&A for 5 years, so having information on who's selling, when they're selling, trying to get ahead of any sort of M&A process so you can get a better deal in there. You know, just building relationships is something that I don't think a lot of people have that skill set in this space. So that's something that I've used to my advantage, obviously getting a lot of the information between, reprints, restocks, who's buying, who's selling, etc. Yes, murders and acquisitions.
Yeah. I just say that because, again, a lot of the audience is gold and silver people, not necessarily business and TCG people.
Yeah.
You're good, though. Keep going.
But I mean, also the timing was super lucky, right? You know, the first set we bought was right before the entire thing went nuts. So we had a significant amount of spend going into Surging Sparks when everything went nuts. So our base, we didn't start at zero like new stores are. We started with, you know, a 500, 600 booster box allocation for Pokemon when everything went to 2x. So that really allowed us to build a significant capital base. And, you know, I'm a little aggressive with this shit. And I have 2 rules. Never say no to distro. Always say I want more. and B is never run out of money. Because the second you run out of liquidity, you're fucked. So that's why I'm so ingrained in Discord and running sales, because I'm eyes wide open that, hey, I always have to be a step ahead. Because if distribution calls and says, hey, I got $200,000 of product for you, and I'm like, okay, well, it's like 40% margin free money, I have to be able to pay for it. I don't have terms. Most stores don't have terms in this business unless they're running everything off credit cards. I don't run anything off credit card. Everything's cash. No debt, no nothing.
Wow. Yeah, that's why that's sort of the point where I'm at in my life. I pay everything with cash. But obviously I haven't scaled that part of the business. How do you assess risk then? Because it sounds like you're very much like not concerned about, well, maybe you are, you just had to do what you had to do, but how do you assess the risk level of like what you're going to put your money into and putting it in at that scale? And like, what are you viewing as downside risk?
So in a perfect world, I would buy a release, I would sell everything, and I would have zero inventory. That's my mindset. Like a lot of folks that are in here, they look at something and it's like the One Ring, right? It's my precious. Like if I paid $17 or $16 for a 151 booster bundle and selling for $200, that motherfucker's out the door, and I'm taking $200 for it. I don't care if it's going to be 300 tomorrow, 350. You know, if I sell it to somebody and it goes up and they're happy, they're going to come back and they're going to buy again. That's my mindset here. So, you know, with Pokemon, obviously the market's hot. It's summer. It's softening a little bit. I don't look into that at all. I mean, it's just the summer. But when I get a Pokemon set in, I sell everything I can through subs or on TCG Player with one of my sales. And what I don't want to do is, it's already a W. You know, you never want to turn a win into a loss by getting greedy. You're sitting on it. You take your profit, you take your win, and you move on to the next one. So when you have a product that's effectively at a 2x what your cost is, sometimes a little bit more, you take the win and you just de-risk the entire situation. When I look at Magic, and this is where I'm happy to put dollars for work, and you know, you kind of saw that in the 10 to 100K video that I put together. If you study any of the price behavior on Magic the Gathering products, and yes, they will reprint things 2, 3, 4 times, but if you look at the way that the cards trade, the market gets flooded and saturated with reprint. It churns through the system, things dry up, and then the product starts to move up. And as it moves up, it really starts to accelerate as the market dries up and things tend to go parabolic. So for example, in August of 2025, and this is where I was really starting to put my foot on the gas for Magic spend, we had the opportunity to buy Bloomburrow Commander Displays, Duskmourn Commander Displays, Ixalan Commander Displays, and Tarkir Commander Displays. And the first 3 were like $109 each. Tarkir was like $138. So we were sitting on almost 4,000 of those in warehouse. So, you know, you do the math. I mean, it's almost $500,000 that's just sitting there. And it was dead money for 4 months, 5 months. And now you look, everything's dried up. Duskmourn's $400. Now I've sold everything. I sold everything before it was at $250. Ixalan is at $300. I think I have 40 left. And that's only because I took it down for the last just because the market was crazy. Tarkir's $270, but the individual decks are selling for $330, and Bloomburrow's pushed in $240. So when you buy it, when the market's saturated, your downside is almost zero because the game's not going to die. Magic the Gathering is not going to go away anytime soon. So when I'm looking at investing, I'm not buying Pokemon at 2x cost. I'm buying Magic at cost. And even if I was retail, maybe I can't buy it at 109, but I can buy it at 120.
Mm-hmm.
So my downside exposure is almost nothing when it comes to parking dollars and letting the product agent work. So that's really my mindset with all this. With the Bandai stuff, I mean, obviously a lot of the stuff is 2 to 3 times cost. I churn all that stuff right away.
Yeah.
If it's a significant gain, I just churn it, move on. Gundam I've held on to, mostly because the boxes are $90 to $100 at release, and I can see the sell through, and I know where it's going.
Yeah.
So that's pretty much it.
No, that makes sense.
You take money off the table when you have a big win, so you don't risk round tripping it. And when things are cheap, you buy more as long as it's a game like Magic that if the game doesn't die, you're perfectly okay.
Yeah, it's funny is you were talking about kind of you and I are very close in age, and we kind of grew up, enjoying these TCGs when they were first being created, right? In fact, we were probably too old for Pokemon when it came out. We'd already kind of grown up, and that was a kid thing, right? What's funny though is you're talking about like the game is not going to die. Here's the funny thing about that is think about how Magic got to where it is today with whatever hundreds of millions of collectors, players, enthusiasts. They didn't have the internet pumping out videos constantly of their product. They didn't have, mass online markets that people could see the sales constantly of what's going on. In fact, it was almost the opposite. They had no IP, right? They created their own IP. They had solicitations through magazines and just random stuff at your card store if you went to one. It was a totally different environment. And to think that and not only that, but for a while there, and people probably don't even know this, but the game was seen almost like, I'm from the South, so the game was almost seen as like, devil worship and stuff. Like it had like a negative connotation.
It was banned in a lot of high schools.
Yeah, and like being a gamer back then was looked down upon as like you're a freak, loser, nerd. Like you had to basically play football and play these games on the side under the in the closet. And so my point though is that if the game can go through that, and I'm sure a lot of people that are still with Magic have no idea about the early stages or what it was, but I still remember, and I still think about that today. It's like it's a totally different playing field than when they got started. And if they can make it through all that, and they can come out this strong and persist through all the different games and everything, and like everybody always falls back to Magic. They might leave for a period and go like what is that saying when you go to a different country to get laid, basically? Passport bro. People might passport bro over to like another game for 6 months and try to win competitively and build some decks and have some fun with cool cards, but then they always come back to Magic with their friends.
Yeah, no, for sure. And it's fascinating because you hear a lot of the internet Timmies just blaming LGSs for scalping and this and that, and the only reason why Magic became what it became was because they pushed their game. It gave local game stores really a way to make money where, selling tabletop games and D&D and shit like that, not super profitable. And it just got so ingrained in the culture. And, there were 1,000 other games that tried to compete and most of them failed. Now, you look at all these indie games starting up, it's like easy mode and they still fuck it up. Because you have social media, you have the internet, you can market anything that you want to, you can send stuff anywhere you want to, at the drop of a hat, and they still decide that they just want to overprint stuff. So, I think for probably 15, 20 years of the 35 years it's been around, there really hasn't been any real competition. It's great. And, now with all the demand on the game, you have all of the supply chain constraints where even if they wanted to overprint, they couldn't. So you're almost protected from themselves, which is nice.
Yeah, I just look at this and I'm like, I stayed out of these TCGs for a long time, but I'm looking at it like this is probably the strongest, not just TCG market that I've ever seen, but Magic market. And I know a lot of loud people poo-poo Universes Beyond, but I can just simply look at the most valuable singles and the most valuable sealed on Magic's website, you know, on TCG Player or something,
Yeah.
and it's almost exclusively Universes Beyond stuff, collectors type boxes or
It's
serialized cards. You know,
It's
besides
low.
vintage, right? um, and it's just crazy, like that we're in this environment. Everything is thriving, top of the bull market, and it wouldn't be an Anon podcast if we just bring up the fact that like in this massive, crazy bull market with so much market cap. Flesh and Blood still can't sell a box. Okay, that's all I got for that. No,
Dude, I was literally gonna drop that hammer, and you took the words
oh,
out
sorry,
of my mouth.
sorry. We'll pretend like I didn't say it. So we're in the one of the best TCG markets that's ever existed. Every game is just pumping and doubling in 6 months. Yet, how do you feel about that, Anand? No.
Well, so what I was gonna say, and I totally forgot this in the intro, was that the reason why I got into Pokemon first was because I got burned so badly with all the reprints for Magic during COVID. I'm like, fuck this game. Like, I never want to do anything with it again. So, you know, you look at the market now, and all you have to do is make a product that people want and don't piss off the stores that are trying to push your product. You know, one of the reasons why I soured so much, and I mean, you were obviously much closer with LSS and those clowns than I ever was. But I mean, I had a bunch of people sending me emails where, you know, they're literally reprimanding stores that are just, they're trying to pay their fucking bills, right?
Yeah.
Like, how dare you sell our product for under this price? And
Well,
it's
like you said, you need cash to be able to purchase the next thing.
Yeah.
If you can't sell the product, you got to lower the price.
Don't make a shit fucking product. Make something people want, assholes. It's
that would be
simple.
nice too. Yeah, yeah.
It's that simple. You know, your model doesn't work. Yeah, banning heroes, banning cards, making sets for such a small sliver of the overall population, it doesn't work.
Yeah.
And you know, James White is so in his silo of people jerking him off. He's never going to change. And the game's already dead in the US.
Yeah.
And,
it is. It's done. It's not coming back.
And you and I were talking the other day, and as much as I can't stand it, I did the math because I think it was fun. So, you know, when Mon 1 came out, there was obviously a ton of product, but when they published the print runs, there was what, like 210,000 or 230,000 boxes?
Yeah, maybe, yeah, something in that range.
And that was a couple years before they were in Japan. So the majority of those boxes all came to the States because there wasn't even a big European.
And there may have been 15,000 players at that point.
Yeah. But you know, you look at the print runs they just released, which is like 140,000, and I don't know if it went to the 100 or whatever.
Yeah, it's like 130, 160, somewhere in that range.
Yeah, but I mean, the number of boxes coming to the States is like 25,000 now.
Yeah.
So you went from 90% of your volume being in the US to like sub 20%. This is the only market that fucking matters. And you know, I know there's going to be folks that say, "Well, I live in this country; it's great." The US is the wealthiest country in the world. And it's a bunch of dumbasses that love to piss money away on cardboard.
I was going to say, our impoverished people have iPhones, cable television, air conditioning, and spend money on random luxury items.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. So if you miss out on the US, you're never going to have a real business. Nobody's going to take you seriously. And the fact that they have managed to take a game that, you know, I never played it, but from everybody I've spoken to says it plays as one of the best games of all time. So if you literally nail the hard part, I don't even know how you fuck everything else up.
Well, one day we could do a 4-hour conversation. I can tell you all about how they did it. No,
Look, it's like I said, you can fix it. The easiest way to fix it, unban everything, bring all the heroes back. All of a sudden, all those old boxes are going to have some value. Maybe you'll get some collectors, some investors to come back into the market. You know, you can figure out how you want to balance it. And maybe you change the life totals and as a handicap or a benefit, depending on the class you play. Yeah. But you know, banning cards and smoking old sets and having the valuable cards go to zero. I mean, did I hear they're reprinting Braveforge Bracers, which is a fucking $15 card?
Yeah.
Like, what are you doing?
That's like its 5th reprint too.
Yeah. Yeah, make it Uno and just hand the free cards out, assholes.
I've said that before. I was like, if you want to get down to it, like, why don't they just make all the cards that people desire, freaking buy a box promos? You know, here's a tunic. Thanks for buying a box. At this point, who cares?
Well, and here's the dumbest thing about all this. They made Compendium as a premium set when they knew their customer base doesn't fucking spend any money.
Yep.
Like, what are you doing? And I bought it because I'm like, you know what? I could probably sell the gold pack for $50. That way I only have, you know, $35 of exposure. Not a big deal. It took me 2 months to sell those fucking gold packs.
I can
Nobody
tell
was-
you why they did it. They ran out of creativity. Like they ran out of the ability to design sets that were balanced
Yeah.
around this time. And so that's why you had like 2 or 3 sets that were either regurgitations of prior sets or like something like Compendium where they just dumped a whole bunch of cards that they couldn't release in like Dusk Till Dawn and you know, Dynasty. There's a reason why you see a lot of cards from those sets that are those heroes. You can tell it was just extra chaff that they didn't want to put into those sets. And so they just basically created this product to reprint a bunch of crap so that they could probably buy themselves 6 months to design an actual real set again. Because they're running out of creativity, they're running out of design, they play test like crap. Anyway,
I mean, they're clearly whores for money. You know, they refuse to tap the brakes. They keep putting out a million SKUs that are just straight garbage. Not, I mean, outside of the regular sets. But anyway, I do. Yeah. So the last Magic deck that I ever played was a Squandered Resources deck from Mirage and Visions. I
Mirage,
still
good
have
stuff.
it, and I have no idea how to play it. I don't even
I
remember.
pulled a Phyrexian Dreadnought from Mirage way back then.
Oh, nice.
So Dangles had a question. I feel like I want to ask his question because he's one of the only people that's actually asked something. But if you guys don't know, anybody who's listening to this, Anon TCG has kind of thrown out there a video just kind of like explaining that it would be possible, in theory, right? Now we've put it into real practice, but in theory, you know, to do a $10,000 upfront capital and to basically churn it over about 2.5 years to about $100,000 to $200,000. And so quite a few of us, myself included, have kind of taken on that challenge, and we're documenting the things that we're buying and selling, and you know the appreciation of those items as we're holding them. Obviously, it's a multi-year thing, so it's not like it's going to change very often. But so that's going on, and the biggest point about that to me was that obviously that's an easy thing to do. I think if you have like a store, well, you know, a store and distro, and you're getting boxes for, you know, that wholesale price, and you're able to sell them on the market for a profit in this kind of bull market. Obviously that changes when we're in a bear market and things are under, but sure. So your point with that was that yes, you can still do this even if you aren't sort of like one of those people that has that, you know, private access, so to speak.
And that was really the challenge and the question that came from Discord. Like, hey, if I'm a regular dude and I have to buy it at the regular market, what does that look like? And I kind of went through the decisions that I made as a business in 2025, 2026, and really looking at the reprints that landed that I just sunk a lot of cash into, and then just started to build it from there. And then with 2026, I just layered in all the opportunities that I see in the market now. And, you know, quite honestly, one of the original concepts that I had as well, and we talked about the Pokemon aspect and, you know, focusing on Pokemon because Magic was a dumpster fire from reprints, is, and this kind of dovetails into the question here that Dangles had, is Magic sets are generally in print they used to be for 2 years. Now they are for 3 years, or I should say they are legal within standard. I like to say that there are no rules when it comes to reprints because at the end of the day, they are a public company. They are beholden to hitting quarters. So yeah, if they're happy to smash your investment to make their quarter and get their bonuses. So just always keep that in mind. But if you're able to accumulate a large amount of product for a quality set in that last reprint before it goes out of rotation, you're at a much better advantage, both from a risk perspective and also from an overall return perspective, because chances are you're not going to get hammered with a reprint and be sitting on dead money or round trip it for 12 to 18 months.
Yeah.
So, and I'll give you a perfect example. So Final Fantasy came out last year, hottest set of all time. It's going to be a hot set forever. Boxes came out. There was a shortage of them. Distro ended up allocating everybody. They got a small second wave. So the box is set at like $150. Distro price on Universes Beyond is somewhere in the 120 to 122 range. It's still at the same place. So the set ran up to 200 probably by the end of summer. Everybody was clamoring for a reprint. Wizard said there was a reprint coming the end of the year. By the time we got the reprint, boxes were at about $250. Now we got the reprint. Fun fact, the reprint was all printed with the initial print run. They held it back because they needed the revenue in Q4. Just a pro tip, they will do that. Just like we're seeing another print wave of Lorwyn. My guess, I haven't seen the cases yet, but this was all printed in the initial print wave back for the January release. and they're now releasing stuff in waves to tamp the market down, which quite honestly is smarter. So, so Final Fantasy came out, and this is important because this is where everybody can really have the same advantage or a little bit better than what I have buying direct from distribution. There are very, very large stores. There are a handful of them where they buy as much as they can for future allocations, and they sell it at or below distro cost because they need to churn the cash, they need to churn the capital, and their goal is to maximize future allocations for a set like Hobbit, where they can buy collector boxes at $300 and they can sell them at $800 on the open market. That is the entire business strategy. So Final Fantasy could be had under $121 for probably 2 months after the reprint. That was November 2025. The market's dried up. They're now completely gone, and the boxes are now at $240 again.
Yeah.
We are going to get another large reprint in November of 2026. And the set doesn't rotate out until January 2028, so it's probably not going to be the last reprint.
Yeah.
But what I'm going to do is when it gets smashed again, I'm probably going to buy a couple thousand boxes. I'm going to sit on them for 6 months, and it's going to be the same movie all over again. Now, what I will tell you is as time passes, the timing of the reprints or the timing between reprints starts to grow.
Okay.
Because they have more sets they need to reprint. They have a very, very finite amount of printing capacity. Which we can talk about in a second because it's interesting because it does dovetail with Pokemon. But if you're hitting this on the second or third reprint, chances are the odds are lower that they're going to reprint. But also, if they do reprint, the recovery time is exponentially faster than what it is on a first reprint.
Do the reprints also get smaller as well as more spaced out, or is that not a verifiable thing?
I mean, it's not verifiable. I mean, I will tell you, generally speaking, they do. But in the instances that they don't, there's so much demand that's penned up from the product being gone for a while. And a lot of folks are starting to think this might be my last chance to get it. It evaporates very, very quickly.
Okay. Yeah, that makes sense. I look at it and I was like, my strategy with the 10K thing is to buy like roughly.
Just buy fucking Power World at 55 for me. You're good. You're done.
Well, basically
2 days.
By what is it? Sorry.
Just buy Power World for me at 55. 2 days. You're done.
Well, I did, and I basically, so I only bought 4 boxes. I was like, I don't know, whatever. I'll just open this crap up and have fun with it. And I sold 2 of the boxes for $180 within 1 hour of receiving your shipment.
Well, that's good.
I opened it up, listed half of it, sold it for more than what I paid, and whatever. I mean, it's only $300, but whatever.
Yeah, you paid for 2 years of sub from 2 boxes.
Yeah, exactly. Thank you.
2 days.
But no, I don't know. I've actually got I bought a couple cases of stuff. I think I bought a case of Lorwyn. I bought a case of OP08. Bought some illustration box. I don't know. I bought all sorts of random stuff. Turtles, decks. I don't know, whatever. Just my plan, my strategy for the 10K challenge is to essentially purchase product every month for like the first year. And then as those products in the back, you know, when I see them spike up in value, I list, let's say I buy 6 boxes of Lorwyn, right? Mm-hmm. I'll list 1 at the price point at which I want to sell it. So if it sells, it's kind of like a notification to me that like, hey, you might want to sell the rest, right? Yeah. And so I have that all set up automatically when I buy stuff, when I receive it, just start list the 1, have fun with it, wait. But that way, if I spread it out over 12 months, in theory, assuming the market stays in the general direction that it's going, I'll be able to offload those products from the first, 6 months to fund the next 6 months, if that makes sense, and then just kind of keep turning it as they grow in value.
It's like a Ponzi scheme, only it's in your favor, right? Yeah. And it's interesting because that was one of the discussions we had internally when we first started. It's like, hey, we started with Aether Drift. Mm-hmm. And Innistrad Remastered, which are not exactly the most loved collector boxes. And then we had Tarkir. So, we're sitting on probably 100 Aether Drift and Innistrad Remastered collector boxes. And, in my mind, it's like, okay, well, in a year, we should be fine. Now we're a year and a half, and they're finally starting to move to the point where I don't want to sell them yet. But now you have that capital base. Everything has baked from some of your early purchases where you could sell those to fund stuff today. And it ends up being a lot of money. I mean, say we have 100 boxes of Aether Drift that we pay. I think our cost was like $173 back then. But at $330, I mean, that's $33,000 that's sitting there that is now liquid that can be turned into investment to buy other things. So you do get stuck with those things on occasion. And as long as you are in games that aren't going to die, things will age in your favor. And it's funny. I talk to my wife about it all the time. And my dad as well. And they're trying to explain, like, why do you have so much inventory? My response is always, well, I don't really want a lot of inventory. It just, I happen to have it. And on the Magic side, obviously, I make conscious investment decisions there with some of the stuff. But I'm like, this is the only industry on the planet where there's nothing, there's no spoilage. There's nothing where the technology just dies and it's screwed. Like the longer you sit on it, the more value it becomes. And, again, never say no to distribution and don't fucking run out of money and you're fine because your inventory is going to age as the longer you hold it. It's going to age well and it's going to go up.
Running off of something you said earlier, kind of tying it in with what you're talking about now, there are in ways a little bit of advantages also for not having a distro where like you can't count yourself out because like I don't have to buy 20 cases of Dragon Shields or a bunch of, Warhammer figures or books or, crap that nobody wants. When you're talking about these stores that are like fire selling, if you're taking advantage of those opportunities, you're essentially buying at distro or distro plus or minus, plus 5%, which is no big deal because you're not having to spend your money on all the other crap. So, I mean, I feel like there's in this market, again, I'm talking about the market today, like not the market, 10 years ago, but the market today, I feel like this is a very viable strategy to turn. And the other thing, tax structurally wise, there's always money you can always spend your money on something in a TCG space. So it's like you should never have a profit. It's like,
no, which is true. And, if you look at when to place a pre-order and when not to, in my opinion right now, is if you look at something like the Hobbit and you look at the play box, the cheap box, the box set is normally not the creme de la creme of the product that people want. And you see that the play box sales are $5,000 or 5,000 boxes and a normal set's 7,000 boxes a month after release. And we're 2 weeks from release still, there's not going to be enough supply and the product's going to go up.
Gotcha.
I was actually shocked because I was selling them for $160 a box. And it took me like a week to sell 400 of them in Discord.
Yeah.
Which is light. And that's not all I had.
I got a couple or two or three.
Yeah. Hey, give me 1 second. My little one's crying.
You're good.
I'll be right back.
So guys, if you're just tuning in here, this is Anon TCG. Just a quick recap. He was talking about how he's grown his TCG business from, just kind of like basically a startup like anybody in the world could do. Just no real connections and just how to form those connections and build those relationships and kind of grow those accounts where he's grown, from tens to $100,000 in his first year to multiple millions of dollars over his last 2 years. And it's, basically projection to continue to grow. And, by essentially purchasing trading card inventory from a distributor and then taking advantage of the current market cycle to sell those products, when they go up in value. And then also he runs a kind of like I don't know if you guys know what Patreon is, but it's a similar to Patreon type situation where people can subscribe and then they get access to some deals that are a little bit discounted from the secondary market. So it's kind of win-win. Like we was talking about earlier, we say like he likes to, do deals where there's a little meat on the bone for everybody. So he can make a profit off of the things that he purchased, but then there's enough for people to kind of get in at a good price. And that if the price appreciates over the next 6 months, they'll be able to make a little bit of money there too. So that's what, we're talking about. And I wanted to kind of share this with everybody, kind of give them the idea, the aspirations, I guess, and the hope that, this isn't some fantasy la land where, only, lucky, successful people can get this, like, not anything against anybody here, but anybody can do it, right? You just have to start somewhere. You have to decide that you're going to do it and then also be willing to take some risk, right? Because we're talking about spending, tens of millions of dollars a year. Obviously that, that's a different type of risk, but the risk and the downside in TCGs, right? In the TCG world, the product that you're buying and assuming you're not, consuming it yourself by ripping it open and not getting any hits and wasting your time. The product that you're buying is a naturally attrition product where it will continue to become, over time, torn up, destroyed, lost, stored, whatever. And the quantity available, the supply will continue to decrease unless there's reprints. And then eventually you get through the reprint cycle to where there's too much new stuff that they can't reprint everything. And then that's typically around 3 years or so. It looks like is when things kind of get out of rotation. And there's probably another, 30 sets released for Magic the Gathering over 3 years that they don't have time to reprint everything. So you kind of get into that little safe zone where things go up. We're kind of focusing most on like the bigger TCGs, but obviously when he gets back, I wanted to ask him a couple questions about how he determines if a TCG product or a set is going to be like a successful set versus a bust set. And he kind of hinted to that based on pre-order sales on TCG Player and such, that when you see thousands and thousands and thousands of them, 5,000, 4,000 plus before the release even happens, that's probably a good indicator that supply is going to get gobbled up quickly. Versus if it's a very low pre-order amount, it may be safe to go ahead and wait for the fire sale dumps and pick it up like then. Where's the MSRP gang now? MSRP everywhere? Yeah, that's a good question, Roger Rocket. Or I'm not sure. I've never really been one to worry about that because I've always been a bit more business oriented person. So for me, I feel like the word scalping is probably the most overused and incorrectly used word in the TCG space right now. But yeah, so is it a good idea to not let my daughter open the Pokemon sets? West Texas, if you're having fun with it, man, just have fun with it. But in terms of value, on average, no. It's on average, no. If you're gonna get open like 1 or 2 random boxes, it's probably not financially the best decision. But if you're having fun with your daughter, do it. All good, man. I was just trying to fill some dead air there. So I had a question for you now that you're back. Obviously you're dealing in a lot of TCGs right now. You could probably answer this over like, Pokemon and Magic, but you talked about the sell-through rate pre-release as an indicator of a set's going to be strong or weak. What are some other things that you look at that help you determine a set and whether or not it's something that you should probably like invest heavy into or hold, or like, how do you determine strength of a set?
I don't really invest in anything other than buying Magic reprints. So it's probably the wrong term. I mean,
yeah, you're right.
My significant inventory.
Yeah,
I guess it's kind of synonymous with what you're saying there. So in some instances I can't. So for example, I would love to buy as much Bandai of each set as I can. But you are limited to organized play. It is a very crowded field. Unfortunately, I had a plan with one of my reps to build allocations pretty significantly. And then OP13 got in the way. Mm-hmm. If I would have been one set earlier, I would be sitting on 4 times the boxes I sit at release right now. But since OP13 went off and the field was crowded, I'm kind of stuck where I'm at. And, unfortunately, I was a little bit late to the show, but that was... You get back to your risk reward analysis. Bandai has a history of killing games. Now, for the last 2 years, it's $500 a box now. It was as high as $700 before the reprint. Yeah. Bandai has a history of murdering games. Now, the last 2 years, they have completely changed their MO, where they don't reprint anything, and they're trying to keep collectability in it. But back in February 2025, I was ordering for a set that was a November of 2025 release because it's a 9-month lead time on that stuff. So, you're writing a check to distribution that has to be able to clear in 11 months. And if Bandai decides that they're going to burn it to the ground, you're screwed. Yeah. You're out 25, 35 grand, whatever the number is there. So, Bandai is tricky with that. Magic, I order as much as I can from all 5 Magic distributors every set, whether it's a good set or a bad set, because they keep improving the quality of sets. We know some of the sets coming next year. We know we're most likely going to get a serialized Leroy Jenkins in the November set. For those of you who understand the reference, we're going to have Hobbit Holiday. Star Trek with the on-card autograph cards, those are gonna be fine. Everything Pokemon, I buy as much as I can. So Riftbound, I buy as much as I can't stand how they keep dropping reprint after reprint. The sell-through and the player base is so strong. As of right now that they're into the set number 4, you have to buy it. And even though, the boxes, this is funny, the boxes are right around MSRP when they come out, and a lot of folks bitch about it, but it's, again, 65% margin. Who's going to say no? I think one of the biggest problems today with folks in this industry is they're like, well, I didn't double my money in 3 seconds, so it's a shitty investment.
Yeah.
Wrong answer. That is not a sustainable or scalable business model, because it's not real life. Just because it happens, it's like I've always talked shit on Tesla. Tesla is one of the biggest frauds in history. It's a real car company, but Elon's a fraud. Back when he was buying Solar City and pumping the shit out of the stock kept going up. Just because it's a fraud doesn't mean the thing goes down, right? Jim Chanos has lost a lot of people a lot of money by being right at the wrong time. So.
All right.
Didn't think I get
right. Well, you hit on like every game right there. So you hit on every game, and you had me thinking. So, branching out to, I guess, it's not hard to say smaller TCGs when you look at 12,000 boxes sold of Riftbound, and 8,000 boxes sold of Gundam. But I would imagine those are considered smaller TCGs. Do you try to get exposure to like every TCG as it's coming out, or do you actually wait for a couple sets for them to like prove that they're capable of, keeping the business?
No. So for new TCGs, you look at the IP, you look at the management team, and then you look at who the backer is. And I'll give you a perfect example. Cyberpunk is coming out in October, November. I met the guys at Gamma, which is one of the big industry things. Super nice people, had no fucking idea what they were doing. So I'm like, when I'm talking to them, they said they're printing in China. They felt like they had the Chinese printers all under control. And I can probably point to 5 instances in the last 3 years where Chinese printers have fucked a game over, because they tell you yes, they take your money, and then the second you're not watching, they do whatever the fuck they want. We saw it with MetaZoo, the collation. We saw it with the Sorcery collation for the beta set. We saw it with Warlord, which was the Kickstarter that finally released. There's a handful of other ones, etc. And then I told them, if you guys are going to go Kickstarter, and by the way, they went Kickstarter because they're not getting any funds from the company that makes the video game, right? They licensed the brand. They went Kickstarter, and I told them, you better cut it off at $10 million, because you're going to print too much. You're going to smash the game. They got fucking greedy. They raised $25 million. The Kickstarter boxes, they're going to be dead on arrival. I mean, I'm going to sell it quickly because I did have to place an order at Gamma. I'm just going to sell everything, move on. Because quite honestly, the second you lose faith in a management team, especially in the first set, there is such a thing as being too successful when you're raising money. You are going to have to deliver that product. Yeah. And if there's more product on the speculation side than there is demand in the market, it's going to be ugly.
Makes sense.
So, Riftbound, I'm not a fan of UVS. But given the IP, given the fact that the demand was most likely going to be super high, I had faith that UVS wouldn't be able to print enough to flood the market, which is proven to be correct. Pal World, I just did a video on that today. If you guys know anything about Bushiroad, they print Weiss, Cardfight Vanguard, they print Godzilla. They distribute HoloLive, but they don't print it in their facilities in Malaysia. But with Pal World is magnitudes greater than anything they've ever printed, much similar to with UVS and Riftbound. I mean, they have their universes game, but I mean, that's a rounding error. What they're printing in Riftbound is more than, like, each set is probably 10 times what they've printed in the history of the other card game. So Bushi's going to be the same. Now, Bushi is known for reprinting the shit out of things because they get greedy, but there is a point where they move on, which is much shorter than the rest of these games because they're printing all these other games, right? All of their own games. So I honestly bought Power World because I figured Pokemon with guns was going to sell because it would be controversial. I had no idea that they were going to come out with 1.0 the video game 2 weeks before, and the market was going to be absolutely insane.
Yeah, that was nuts.
And when I priced the boxes, I'm like, hey, my cost on the boxes is 35. I sold them at 55. You make 65%, you're happy. Everybody else making a killing on it. That's great. It's called customer retention. Just chucking up the marketing costs. It's great.
Yep.
There's some stores that would cancel and resell higher. I'm fucking thrilled for everybody who bought those boxes off me. It's great. And then, there's some other games. There's a game called Hellbreak coming out in November. The reason it's a horror-based game, and generally they don't do well. The reason why I bought a little bit of it is they had the coolest booth of anybody at Gamma.
All right.
And, coming out with a horror game around Halloween, it's going to sell to some extent. My Little Pony TCG I carry because it is, this is going to sound a little political. It's not. It is an underserved corner of the TCG market. I mean, look, let's be honest. Most games are made for dudes, right? My Little Pony is serving, the female clientele to a larger extent than almost every other game. You don't sell a lot of it, but it's it sells. It sells reasonably well. I mean, I'm not going to sell 10,000 boxes of it, but I'll sell 1,000.
Yeah.
So that's why I carry that one. It's a good IP. The cards are beautiful. Now, Caillou is a company. I don't know what to think. So far, they've just been trying to figure their own way out. They're a Chinese company in the North American market, which is a little scary. But it seems like they've started to throttle their print runs. But again, you only have to fuck up once, and once the market loses confidence in you, you're screwed. So you have to be selective. I've been out of sorcery for a while because they can't get out of their own way. And the fact that they're from the same country as LSS, I'm out. as a matter of principle. Star Wars is dead. I mean, Asmodee apparently had a contractor at Gen Con. They didn't even send their own people. They were not at San Diego Comic-Con. So I think that's dead. I think the next Star Wars card game we're going to get is a Magic set in 2028. You heard it here first. It's a stone cold lock.
I think the writing's on the wall after doing Star Trek. Yeah.
Well, Asmodee does not have exclusivity on a TCG, so I think that was just a matter of time. Look, if you guys thought Final Fantasy was huge, Star Wars Magic is going to be astronomical. It'll be 10 times what Final Fantasy was.
Yeah, Star Wars will be amazing. I mean, if they did, there's a lot of sets that they could do. Like if they did Warcraft, that would probably be amazing. Zelda might be pretty good. There's a lot of IPs that they could probably tap into to really make a killing off of it.
Well, and it's interesting because there's like 10 different major IPs with anniversaries next year. So, I mean, I don't know what the Universes Beyond sets are going to be, but there's a lot of choices.
All right. You cannot say Power. Oh, go ahead.
Yeah, no, I was going to say that's kind of the thought process you go through, with buying games. And, something like Power World, I had to buy Power World. I had to place the order in February.
Yeah.
I didn't have a picture. I didn't have concept art. The K-pop Demon Hunter cards that came out for Caillou that are selling very, very well. I didn't have a picture. I had no idea. I didn't even know who Caillou was. I'm like, hey, we need an order. What do you want? And sometimes, you just, you pull the cord and you hope for the best.
Yeah. I'm glad it worked out. I mean, it's one of those things. Nobody likes to have those. You remember, I don't know, you probably used to go to TCGs back in the day, like, or LGSs back in the day, and there would just be like these boxes of a game that nobody has ever touched in like 6 years. Yeah. It's like I hate, like, nobody wants to see that at the LGS shelf. It's just the same crap, dusty stuff. It's cool when stuff churns.
Yeah, but it's a different mindset. I mean, I know a lot of folks who run LGSs, and if somebody comes in and says, "Hey, do you have this?" they'll buy a case of it. Like they will place a large order based on one person coming in and asking for something, and that is the most idiotic thing you could do.
Yeah, I don't know if I'll ever do that because I've run businesses open to the public before. I just don't know if I have the drive to do that anymore. I'm burned out. Besides Power World, you can't answer Power World. Has anything surprised you over the last few years in the TCG space?
I think Bandai getting their shit together has really. I mean, it surprised me, but I think it surprised everybody. And One Piece came out with a bang. Everybody was super bullish. Then they went back and they reprinted those early sets and almost fucked it up.
Mhm.
And then they realized how much damage they did to their own game because they were being greedy. And that is the problem. If you're a game producer and you get greedy selling into a hot market that's inflated because of people speculating, it's basically suicide, especially if you're not a massive IP. But Bandai has corrected things, and I've had multiple conversations with those folks because there's like one guy that runs One Piece, one guy that runs Gundam. I've actually talked to him quite a bit. I don't remember they're all Japanese names, so it doesn't fucking compute in my brain. But they're all like, no, it's one and done. You'll have 2 waves, and then it's gone. We're never going to reprint them again. When I was at GAMA this year, the only reason why I wanted to mob the Bandai booth was I wanted to know, are you going to reprint Gundam Set 1? New typewriter. Seriously, I asked that. He said, no, we would never do that. We're not going to reprint 2. He's at that point in time, there was another wave of Set 3 coming out. But he's like, no, we want them collectible, and that's that. And with Gundam, most of you guys may or may not know this. Bandai does not own the One Piece IP. They obviously don't own the Dragon Ball IP. So they pay royalty. They own the Gundam IP. So that is their baby. They will not fuck that up.
Yeah, they definitely have been impressive. Everybody that I talked to when One Piece first came out were basically the same as kind of like Rudy's sentiment is like, oh, Bandai always kills games very shortly after they release them. Like, don't trust it. No, I don't trust it. But I actually, I bought some of the cards early on. I enjoyed the art and the texture and the size, the not the size, the quality of the cards and everything. So I felt like it was a good product. I just played it casually. And I didn't, try to buy a bunch of boxes or anything crazy. I just would just buy it and play it. But yeah, it's now that it's sticking around. I mean, it's an underserved market in the US too, especially like singles and such. There's just not really readily available. And like you said, a lot of LGSs, it seems like can't even really get enough product. So it's kind of an interesting market.
Yeah, well, that's why Rudy badges it every chance he gets, because since he's online only, he can't.
Oh, okay.
He can't get it. So with One Piece, he was buying One Piece from Universal. I believe it's Alliance. I think he's also buying through GTS, who's now Universal, when nobody else was buying it. So he has a grandfathered allocation in there before Bandai went straight brick and mortar only and organized play only.
Okay.
He did not have the luxury of doing that with Gundam because it started, you run organized play and that's what you're going to get. Like, I'm going to get 60 to 100 boxes of each set for Gundam, and that's all I'm ever going to get.
Yeah. Yeah, I've been checking out Gundam for a little bit here. I've made some videos, not on the primary channel right here that we're on, but the secondary channel for TCGs. I made some videos on Gundam and just been following the markets and looking at the singles and the sell-through rates. And I think there still are some opportunities like in the singles, if somebody's a singles guy. I buy singles more for my collection just to throw them in a binder and look at them or get them graded. But yeah, I just I think I've got like, something silly, 2 or 3 boxes of like every set. I actually just sold my new type Rising for like $425 this week.
You were the one keeping it from going to 450. I see.
I might have been one of those people. It's at what, 448 or 4, I don't know, something like that now. But
it's amazing that it's still selling like 4, 5, 6 boxes a day.
Yeah. I mean, I think it's going to go higher, but like you said earlier, like I can't complain. It was like 150% return or something stupid. Like, it's like, who cares at that point? Like, nobody ever went broke paying, capital gains tax, right? So
I have 25 cases, and every case was $1,700 or less.
That's nuts. Yeah, I mean, I did not have the spin for that then. I wish I did.
Look, to be fair, it was one of those things where I had conviction on early on, and you just watch the market.
Yeah.
And one of my rules of thumb is with a Bandai game, and you could probably use this for Riftbound. Once you get to 5,500 boxes on TCG Player, it will start to dry up.
Yeah.
Until it gets to that point, it's just dead money.
So let's see. Flesh and Blood typically sells about 700 boxes a set.
5.5 boxes a set.
So they have 20 years more before they dry out. No.
Have you looked at how bad the sell-through of Omens was?
I've looked at how bad everything is. Yeah.
Oh my God. Yeah, it's terrible. Now I've been told from the two distributors that the orders for the new set are up. I think they're lying to me because
Okay.
last set they're like, "Hey, we placed an order for you. I hope you don't mind." And I'm like, "What the fuck am I going to do with this?" They're like, "Well, we're a little light on orders." And I'm like, "Yeah, because the game sucks." And it's funny because my one rep, and he's a really good kid, but he fucked up my order for Chocobo bundles, Chocobo
Oh,
holiday,
yeah. Yeah.
which that's my main. And he's like, "Well, you said it was going to be a shitty product." I'm like, "I tell you, every Wizards product's going to be shitty. It doesn't mean I don't want to buy it to sell it." So he kind of screwed me a little bit there, which is why I will never rely on a rep to ever place an order again. Everything just goes right in the website.
Yeah.
And then he places an order for omens for me, and he's like, "Hey, guess what I did?" I'm like, "You son of a bitch."
Like, all right, new sale.
But you get to a certain scale, and sometimes you have to take some stuff and you just smile and you move on.
Yeah,
You
but I
know,
mean, you have the outlets to get rid of it, probably.
yeah,
So
yeah, and I mean, if you lose $5 a box on 100 boxes, who
yeah,
cares?
yeah, I get it. I get it. We are rushing up the 1 hour mark. Is there anything that specifically you'd like to share or talk about we missed?
I think the one thing I want to talk about, and I think a lot of folks miss this, and this is really, yeah, this is a big problem with LGSs, but also with online sellers. And, it was something that I had to go through in the first year, even with the submodel. There are bad customers.
Hmm.
There are customers that are toxic, they're cancers, and you can't be afraid to ban them. I was talking to one of my close friends who he's actually streaming right now. He's streaming Power World Rip and Ship, which is kind of funny.
Oh, nice.
But he has an LGS, and he's bought Bushi stuff forever. And he was telling me how, hey, I just had a scalper come in and asked to buy my Power World, and he offered me retail. And I started laughing. I'm like, hey, I'll tell you what, $200 a box or get the fuck out.
Yeah.
And I'm like, that's the way you got to do it. And it's funny. I did a video a couple weeks ago, and it was I don't know if it was my distro update, but I started, and I get so sick of all these dumb motherfuckers on YouTube that do these Pokemon videos about, well, it should be MSRP. It's
Hmm.
like, dude, you just want to transfer the money to you, who has no risk, from the stores that took all the risk and ate all the shit forever.
Yeah.
So I went on like a 5-minute rant that I did it because it was funny, right? And I thought it was gonna be hilarious. And it's just like, hey, somebody comes in your store and they want MSRP, tell them to fuck off, get the fuck out. You want to eat shit for fucking 4 years? You want to worry about keeping the lights on and this and that, or you want me just to give you the fucking product so you can make money? Get the fuck out of here.
Yeah.
And it's those are the folks that you just need to ban from your store, ban them from your program, and just never do business with them, because even if you work out a deal, the next time they're going to go to whoever has the cheapest price.
Yeah, it's also a guarantee that they're never going to want to pay MSRP when the secondary market is below it.
Exactly. It's all self-serving nonsense. And the problem is a lot of these LGS owners own LGSs because they're introverts, and they're afraid of conflict, and they're afraid of any accountability or having a big boy job. So they just kind of roll over, and it's like, tell those motherfuckers to get out. It's just, a lot of folks are like, well, I want to keep everybody happy, especially in this place, right? In this industry. And it's like, tell people to take a hike, fuck out. That is okay. What are you going to get, bad review on Google? Oh, well, you can always comment, you get it removed. Fuck them.
Yeah, it's definitely something that kind of like all businesses have those people where you have to consider, like, is the amount of effort and time, and are they bringing enough value for you to continue to spend time on them?
And I've probably banned 15 people so far in my program in 2 years that have been in, and they bought a lot of stuff, but they just start to create problems, and then they bitch and moan, and they don't understand why you need to make money off of them, and it's just like, you know what, fuck you, you're out, bye. And then they leave you a bad review on WAP. It's like, okay, whatever, you figure it out.
Yeah, I figure the issue for most people, not just in TCG space, but just in most spaces, is that I think most people are way too short-term minded. They don't have enough capital for their ambitions, and so when things do get tight, they don't know who to blame except everybody, everybody around them but themselves, right? And I see this like, and they're probably, they're probably leveraged, but leverage isn't a problem if you're doing it smart and you're, using it to kind of grow. But
Sure.
I think that those are kind of like the biggest things that cause all this sort of like toxicity in all of these types of spaces. Is just, you get people who don't know what they're doing, who think that they're gonna, what is the saying out there? You're gonna make generational wealth. Like how the fuck you gonna make generational wealth with $1,000 in your pocket?
It takes a generation, motherfucker.
Yeah.
It doesn't take 5 seconds. Maybe with Power World.
But they think that they're gonna do it in 2 years, and it's just not like, I don't know. I just don't. I don't even relate with those kind of people really. At the end of the day, because I'm somebody who's put in 20, 30 years of work and investment and trading, and and I've seen my accounts grow to a point where now I don't mind pissing away 20 grand on TCGs, and just if it goes up, great. If it doesn't, whatever, it'll be okay. I think a lot of people come from the opposite angle where like they don't really have anything and they're just, I don't know, they're just thinking that they can just follow everybody around and it'll work out. Like, I don't know. Those are the things that I see and I'm like, what the hell are y'all doing? Why are you even here?
I mean, look, you have the desperation aspect and you can tell if somebody's down on their luck or whatever, but then you have the entitlement aspect of all these fucking scumbags going to Target and swooping everything. And they're like, well, I have money, sell it to me. It's like, get the fuck out of here. But I mean, look, as well as I know, early in your career, growing up in the finance space where it's like, okay, I'm putting $250 a month away or $500 a month and it's compounding, hopefully 8%. And like you look at that massive hill that you're just starting to climb and it's like, holy shit, this is going to fucking take forever. Imagine if you started now and you had a guaranteed 75, 80% a year.
Dude.
Holy shit.
Yeah. It's not even thinkable. Like
I'd be in the billions at some point. Like
I would already be in the billions. Like already. I can tell you that.
Yeah.
It's crazy. And it's this whole, that's what I was talking about earlier when I brought up the whole, like, there's no internet, there's no online marketplaces, there's no like, it takes 1 hour and $250 to start a business in most states. Like it's not much anymore. And there's like, everybody has the like almost unlimited potential to actually try things and work hard and figure something out and like, make something of themselves. Yet most people don't have the ambition to even start. And we're like in the day and age where it's like, it's almost like failure is almost a choice at this point.
Yeah. It's funny. You see how hard people work at these shows to flip cards and make $5, $10, $15.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, get a fucking job at Starbucks, make $15 an hour. You'd be infinitely better off. And it doesn't compute in young people's heads where, you work and you get paid. Like it's a trade-off. Like everybody wants free shit and everything's entitled. And I mean, I don't know if that's a byproduct of coming off COVID, which it probably is, or if everybody just had really, really great parents where they're just fucking spoiled.
Yeah, I don't know if it's going to be the latter.
I don't think so. No, I don't think so.
But yeah, I don't know. I that's why I wanted to talk with you because, I do think that we have a lot of similarities in the way that we think about things and, view the world and view the space. And I feel like I definitely can hopefully, keep working with you and talking to you and learning from you. And, I definitely want to become a success story, so to speak, on this whole 10K to 100K challenge and just show like, hey, this is the path that I took there. And, maybe people can actually use it as a footpath,
Yeah, and you're obviously familiar with the warning. Past results are no indication of future performance. But as long as the game is growing or at the very least flat, and we know that there are print constraints in the world right now because there's constraints on paper, there's constraints on actual print capacity, there's constraints on getting labor into those fucking print facilities. They're not going to stub their toe, and time's your friend. The math in that video, if you're compounding like 300% over 2 years, which is absolutely fucking insane.
Yeah. And even if you don't hit that, you're still doing well.
Yeah. Yeah. And you're going to have people in the comments who are like, well, you didn't factor in fees and blah, 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 blah. Well, everybody has their own fees. Everybody has their own taxes. Like, I'm not going to do the fucking math for you, you lazy fuck. Yeah. Just do your own math and go from there. The one thing I did want to bring up is everybody talks about the new print facility for Pokemon. And we're at the end here where nobody's going to watch except for everybody who's on now. The new print facility for Pokemon, for those of you who don't know, Millennium Print Group, obviously a wholly owned subsidiary of the Pokemon Company, they are run as an independent for-profit business. They are not Pokemon's bitch. So the reason why they aren't printing Pokemon to the ground is because they do have other customers that they probably make more money on than printing to their parent with an intercompany elimination in the accounting close, right? So part of the expansion in the facility is they want to do more finishing there. So right now they print the packs, they pack the booster bundles in-house. Pretty much everything else goes to a third party for packaging. And then it gets sent out from there. They want to do more of the packaging in-house. And then the other piece is obviously they want to be able to print slightly more Pokemon cards, but I would argue that they've probably caught up to the market. The market just doesn't realize it yet. With all the Destin stuff coming, with the gaps in in print time where they have excess capacity coming up. But they also want to have growth where they can grow revenue for the business outside. So Wizards of the Coast has currently engaged Millennium Print Group to print Star Trek collector boxes. For those of you who think I'm full of shit, I'm sorry, collector commanders, those of you who think I'm full of shit, go back to my Star Trek spoiler video where I gave you the 4 names of the commander decks about 3 weeks before they were spoiled at MagicCon Amsterdam. They're also engaged to print the Hobbit Holiday. But in the Q earnings call for Hasbro, Chris Cox talked about how their print capacity is expected to increase substantially in 2027. That is directly related to them engaging Millennium Print Group because they're taking a significant amount of that new capacity that's going to be coming online in 2027. Not the Pokemon Company, Wizards of the Coast. So it's interesting because I think Pokemon's in a good spot from a supply demand perspective. Now, it's like we saw with inflation, through COVID, right? You're going to have quarters where it's way down. You're going to have future quarters where it spikes back up to 4, 5, 6%. It's kind of like a wave as it starts to slow down. You're going to see the same with print runs in the supply demand. But they are certainly not opening that just to print the shit out of Pokemon to zero. In fact, the folks that were at Pokemon and almost printed to zero are no longer with the company.
That was I'm curious if just talking about prices, because obviously there's a chance that that we go into a stagnant or a down market for years, and that basically would basically wipe out 80% of the players in this space who were just cosplaying, right? But I feel like maybe you agree with this or not, but there's been a sort of a psychological consumerism shift of what is an acceptable price versus not an acceptable price. And now that we've got collector boosters breaking above 1,000 or 5,000 or whatever, it feels like everybody has sort of kind of accepted that the collector booster product is okay at 450 plus, right? And then you look at like play boosters, look at One Piece. You get a booster box under $200 is hard to do in One Piece ever. Lorcana just had a box come out that hasn't fallen below 200. Gundam has box come out that's not fallen below 200. Really? Oh no, it's like 175. But my point is
it's 225 now.
Oh, okay. It went back.
Yep.
But the point is I feel like the consumer, we talk about this MSRP gang, but I almost feel like there's such a small minority anymore that most consumers that are processing, if you're gonna go to the store and you're just gonna buy a product. Most people aren't watching YouTube videos and trying to look up what the secondary market's doing and this and that. They're just I want to get that box. Oh, it's $200. Okay. And at some point after 2-3 years of this, it kind of just becomes the thing. Okay, boxes are $200. Do you feel like the market, the customer base has sort of transitioned to the higher prices that have been happening?
So this is why I'm so bullish on Magic. So what I see them doing, and they kind of said as much on the earnings call. They didn't get into details, but he mentioned that they are printing more product at release. Is I think they're overprinting at release, but they're holding it back and they're pushing it out in the market in waves. And what we're seeing with the Hobbit, what we're going to see with Reality Fracture, because I've already seen some of the purchase orders for distro on that, is they're tightening up the amount of product that goes into the market to create some upward pressure on release. Yeah. And I think your point, that's really going to shift the mindset of folks to what the acceptable price is going to be. And then once you have a second wave come in and push the price down, everybody's going to say, well, this was $160 box. It's now $140. I'm going to buy it because it's going to go back to $160, as opposed to Marvel, Turtles, Avatar, Spider-Man. They just dumped everything on the market and the boxes went to $100 or $110 and everything was below distro price. Well, once you do that, you can undo it. And I mean, that stigma of a weak product and being below distro or at distro cost, that takes years to go away. So they have to hold product back, get it moving in a positive way. And quite honestly, they can't raise prices if nobody wants to pay distro price out of the box.
Yeah.
From the start on a release.
I mean, the cat's kind of out of the bag, right? I mean, all these companies seem to know this now. It feels like
knowing it and executing on it are two different things.
Yeah.
But just wait. The Hobbit's going to come out, and we're going to get a wave of play boxes that is moderately sized 2 weeks after. Hopefully, play boxes are over $200 at that point, and we'll just cash in and we'll move on. But I wasn't expecting a third wave. But now that we have Lorwyn coming, and I know it's reasonably tight. I mean, it's probably 50,000, 40,000, 30,000 boxes, something like that. It's going to be allocated and it's going to be gone day one. So once this is through, it's probably going to be the last Lorwyn reprint that we get for a year and a half, maybe 2 years, potentially ever. But it's almost like, and there's a lot of people that think Hasbro's a bunch of idiots. I tend to think they just run everything by FP&A, financial planning analysis. So you don't have to type it out. So they know what they need when they need it. And knowing that they have some severe constraints on printing, they've realized it's more efficient just to overprint at release, warehouse some of this stuff and push it out in waves. So I mean, I think they are reasonably intelligent with how they're managing the go-to-market. They've just had some bumps and they try things, they fail every now and then. And but it's getting better. It's like the pendulum swinging back and forth, but eventually, you kind of reach equilibrium in the middle when it stops, and we're getting closer to that.
Yeah, well, one thing we haven't really touched on, but it suits. I'm having that conversation with Cryptomon in the chat about precious metals and such, and there is a tie-in where we're becoming more and more of a digital nation, digital media, from everything: videos, movies, games, music, whatever. Everything is moving to the digital realm, and I think that there's something shifting in a lot of the populace, at least in America, where tangible physical ownership is becoming a popular thing again. And I know that for me, I'll just be candid. Like, my big thing is I sold some real estate and had like hundreds of thousands of dollars of cash. And I was like, okay, I got to do something with this because I don't want it to just sit in a bank account,
I hope you didn't buy silver at 110.
What's that?
I said, I hope you didn't buy silver at 110.
I got some, but I also bought, 1,000 ounces at, 25. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it doesn't matter. But yeah, I've been always been buying. Just like I kind of like people call it dog cash averaging. I don't care about that. I just buy shit. It's like I have cash. I don't want cash. I want something. I want a physical or an asset or something to grow. I got all that money market. I got plenty of stocks and money market accounts and all that crap. Like, I don't need any more of that. That's on autopilot anyway. So It was big for me. It was like, I need to figure out a place where I can put my cash into physical assets. And so I bought a lot of silver. I bought a lot of gold. And I also, at the same time, was starting to get into TCGs. And that's actually kind of how I got into Flesh and Blood, right? Is my daughter wanted to go get Pokemon at the store. I took her to go get Pokemon. I saw Magic the Gathering. I didn't know what the hell I was looking at because I saw fucking jump starts and drafts and sets and collectors. And I was just like, what the hell do I buy? So I think I bought like a set booster of Baldur's Gate or something, or Forgotten Realms or something. And I ripped that for myself, and I ripped Pokemon with my daughter, and we bought a bunch of Pokemon stuff and all that. And that's kind of how I got into it. And then I started looking at the values of this shit, dude. I had no idea. I'd been out of the TCG game for 20 years. I had no idea. I was like, these things are worth, thousands of dollars, hundreds of dollars. Like, I was like, what the hell? And so that's when I started, investing, I guess you could say, in, a game. I picked Flesh and Blood because I wanted to, I was like, if I'm going to have to relearn how to play a TCG, I'm with like a million mechanics. I might as well just learn a newer game. So I picked Flesh and Blood because it was newer.
You didn't realize you had chosen poorly at the time,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
hey, it is what it is.
At the time, no, I did not know the error of my ways. No, but no, that's partly why, we were talking about the 10K challenge. Partly why I'm focusing that on, Magic and Pokemon, and it's like I want to also do it with the games that, like, if it hits the fan and it all is just like goes worthless, which is not going to happen, but I would at least like still have product that I'd actually like to enjoy, to open and play and enjoy with family and friends. Like there's nothing like, take commander decks and have a board game night, or take booster boxes and, open them up and everybody builds a deck and, you play for a night. At least then I would get some entertainment out of it.
Yeah, and I look at the TCG space in this market no different than the stock market, right? When oil's booming, the best investment is to buy the most over levered bag of shit, oil service, or not even oil service, like exploration company, because you're going to get the best return, because a rising tide raises all boat or lifts all boats. And in this scenario, you buy the cheap stuff. And when I say quality cheap stuff, the cheap stuff from games that aren't going to die, right? Not fucking Star Wars Unlimited. Because eventually they're going to move in the right direction with the market. Now, what I will tell you is, and you should know this well, it all comes down to capital preservation when you think the bull market's a little extended, right?
Mm-hmm.
I'm not buying Pokemon at $250 a box at release.
Correct. Yeah.
I'm a seller all day long. I am happy to buy Magic the Gathering on a second or third reprint at distribution price, or under distribution price if it dumps there for retail folks, because I know what's going to happen in the next 9 to 12 months. And the beauty of this is it's not a crowded field, because there aren't a whole lot of people that are talking about it. There aren't a whole lot of people looking at it. Rudy started to mention it for the last, call it 6 months, but a lot of what he's been talking about were really around collector boxes, right?
Yeah.
If you look at the junk SKUs, I use that term loosely, but the less quality SKUs, the cheaper SKUs like play boxes, the returns are actually exponentially higher than what they are on collector boxes. You might see, oh, well, this went from 400 to 1,000, but at the same time, the play box has gone from 100 to 400.
Well, I don't know if you had a chance to watch my video on Case Hits Collectibles channel.
I did.
I mean, I only did half of the sets for the last 3 years.
I was going to fall asleep by the end, but it was very good data. I knew most of it.
That's
why.
I mean, I'm not, like I said, it wasn't entertaining. It was literally for me, it was for me to go through and see what was selling or not. And, when you see 185% gains in 1 year, and it's a play booster or a commander, case or something like that, it's like, well, holy crap. Why, like, I guess that's one of my questions I didn't even ask you, but like, if you had like $1,000, would you put it in like 1 or 2 collector boosters, play boosters, or a commander case? And I'm sure it's going to depend on where your entry point is. But like, if you really think about that, let's say collector boosters are almost always around $400. Let's just call it $400. So you get 2 of them, right? They have to go to $800 for you to double, like, obviously.
Yeah.
Whereas a play booster, if you get in at, let's just say normally you're getting in at 130 or 125 or something like that, like on my level. So, okay. So you're in at 130. Going to 260 actually isn't that unbelievable. Now, you might get to like 175, 200, and then maybe you start to sell or scale off there. But it's to me, it seems to be the data shows that it's about the same time frame anyway. But you can also like fractionalize your selling so that you can sell a couple here at this price point, wait for it to go up more, sell a couple more, right? If you need to. Versus collector booster, it's like you're all in, right? You're if it goes up and you have to sell it, you're out of the game as soon as you sell it. I don't know. That's one way I looked at it.
Yeah, no, and you're right. And look, the big pro to collector boxes is they don't reprint them, right? At least they haven't yet. And their policy, which again they could change that at the drop of a hat, is to not reprint collector boxes. The downside is, and this is something that I live by, is once an item gets to $500, it really starts to limit the total amount of people that are in the market.
I agreed. Yep.
So your liquidity your paper profit is going to go up, but the liquidity and the amount of time it's going to take you to liquidate and realize that liquidity at a market price goes down exponentially quickly. I mean, if I have a master case of Final Fantasy collector boxes here that we got from distribution early on, and I am scared shitless because I don't want to sell it yet, But I mean, if it sells for 75 grand, who the fuck am I going to sell it to for 75 grand in a
Yeah.
safe transaction, where I'm going to get close to market?
I mean, would you not just crack them out and sell them box by box? Like, is there an
I
actual like premium on a master case?
there is a slight premium on a
Okay.
master case.
I just
But
seems like,
again,
but you lose a lot of that
but if
transactional risk if you break it down.
correct. And again, if I can't realize the value, then what's the fucking point?
Yeah.
If I have 4 play boxes that I paid $100 for, right? Those things are selling 20, 30, 40, 50 copies or boxes a day just on TCG Player and eBay. And this is weeks after the point, or weeks, or I should say years after the release. You might have 1 or 2 collector boxes selling every day. So the reason why it's going to outperform your collector boxes is just based on the liquidity, the fact that it's a lower price point, and the fact that there's just so many more participants in that market.
Yep.
And that's one thing that, quite honestly, I don't think anybody's talked about on YouTube except for me and you and I in this discussion now. And it's real.
Yep. That's the same in all markets. So I also buy collectible coins, like we talked about. And so it's like there's like the low range stuff, right? There's the mid range stuff, and there's the high range stuff. The high range stuff may pull in hundreds of thousands of dollars, but there's like 3 people in the fucking world that care about it, you know? Versus like the mid range stuff, you have maybe, 10, 20,000 people, and an auction will go through pretty well on eBay, and you'll probably get some good money for it, especially if you're selling into like a market, demand situation. But then there's the low end stuff that like, you can sell all day long, but your margins are going to be small. And so like, I like to play in the middle. Like I buy those like, $250 to $1,000 coins. And just, it is what it is. It's not the nicest stuff out there. It's definitely not the worst stuff out there, but they're good quality things that people can afford. And, any collector basically can afford to be in that market. That's liquidity, but you can fix that though, Anon, by growing your network, right?
Yeah.
And that's the counter to a slim market is if you know people right away that that are interested in that kind of thing, well then you can tap them on their shoulder whenever they may know somebody or whatever.
Well, and the other downside with TCGs, and we haven't talked about this one, the older that a case of Pokemon gets, the more expensive it gets, the more paranoia sets in, where people are like, well, you have a sealed case, I'm not going to give you full value because it might be counterfeit, or the label might be swapped.
Yeah, that's true.
Which is another reason why once things get to $500, they start to go. Because I mean, right now, and we had somebody in Discord who did this. They bought a case of Evolving CIs, and they have like the little camera that you can slip in. It's almost like something you put down the drain for clogs or whatever.
Makes sense.
And it was Silver Tempest.
Oh wow, yeah, that's crazy.
So I have these cases of XY Evolutions I got from distribution last year, where they had an at market sale, which is never at market, it's always over market. But I mean, they're getting close to 20 grand now. I mean, there's a point where you either have to sell the individual boxes, or you got to pull the cord before they get too expensive, because and this was the biggest challenge that I had when I started Anon, and I sold off my Alpha Beta Unlimited starter decks. And even though I had provenance on everything, everybody's like, well, Hobbies ripped five beta starters and they're all fake. How do I know these aren't? And I'm like, you don't. I can show you when I bought them. I can show you where they are, but I can tell you they aren't fake. I can tell you in 2013, nobody's faking shit. Yeah. But you're going to have 3 retards on the internet that are like, they're absolutely fakes. I was there in 2013. And then it's just, old man yells at cloud, right?
Yeah. I mean, I guess you could do something where you don't know the person's intent when they buy it, I guess. But as I say, if they are going to open it, just say, hey, here's the deal, you open it and it's fake, whatever.
Well,
we'll work it out.
Well, but here's the thing. So I had initially had a deal in place for somebody who was going to do that. And the second I said, look, I'm going to seal this thing and you need to open it off or on camera.
Yeah. Like within a day or two of me being with you. Yeah.
They were out. So, you know,
Yeah.
you smell out the scam a mile away because
Yeah.
they'll put a fake one there. They'll take your money and they're like, yeah, fuck, look what I got.
Yeah, no, I got you. I agree. Yeah, it is definitely, yeah, it's risky waters when you start getting into those big numbers. And also, like, you know, these markets, to be quite frank, when there is this much attention on these markets, counterfeits are going to be abundant because every scammer and their mom is trying to make a buck off of some idiot who doesn't know what they're doing, is just going to buy some shit off eBay, paying market price or just below it because they think it's a good deal and it's a fake.
Well, shit, I had an ad on YouTube. I was watching a video about an hour and a half ago, and it was a truck full of Ascended Heroes booster bundles, and it's like, don't pay American price or don't pay, you know, retail prices. You can buy them from Temu for like $2.99 each.
Oh,
And
shit.
like, they're literally advertising fucking counterfeit shit on YouTube. Blows my mind.
Wow. I guess if there's nobody regulating it, then who cares, huh? For them.
Yeah. Well, again, that gets back to the competitive advantage that we have with the Magic the Gathering stuff. If we know when things are going to be reprinted, you can front run the market and you can de-risk yourself.
Yeah.
If you can also plan to buy stuff, because when that print hits, that's the time where you can accumulate an unlimited amount of product at the lowest price. And you know, you could probably hold off for 2, 3, 4 weeks and then do it. But I'm not sure it's worth giving up that price point for the risk of, you know, maybe it goes down a little bit. Because again, you know, as we're seeing with Destined Rivals now, those ETBs were $280 fucking dollars.
Yeah.
6 weeks, 7 weeks of dumps on Walmart. They're now 130.
Yeah.
Now we're getting shit 400,000 ETBs through distribution. Now that the price is down, now granted, the price is probably going to be somewhere in the low 70s. So that's where the floor is going to be. But going from 270, 280 to a $75 to $80 ETB, that's a beating. And it's going to be dead money for at least 7, 8, 9 months. Because there's just so much saturating the market. Now,
Yeah, and it's funny. It's like that's the real downside risk for a home gamer, I guess, is right. Is that you might have to sit on it for an extra 6 months. It's like,
well, but it's not just that. You know, one of the things that I try to do in Discord, and you know, I do videos on it every now and then, is I try to provide people that are willing to listen with intel on when things are going to get reprinted.
Yeah.
Because it prevents you from getting your face ripped off. You know, the last 2 videos I've done with music in the background was just kind of a teaser.
Yeah.
Because the Lord of the Rings set reprints here. I already got my first allocation for it. Like it has landed. And you know,
I saw that deal. I was getting excited. I was frothing at the mouth for that deal.
I don't know how many I'm getting, which so I don't know. I don't know if and to what extent I'm going to be able to run a sale, but we'll see. We'll see. I mean, ideally, it's going to be limited, obviously, but I want to run a sale. But I literally put it there, just showed the chart and played For Whom the Bell Tolls. And there were like 4 different people saying, "Oh, I thought you said it was going to be reprinted. I thought this, I thought that." And I'm like, "You dumb motherfuckers. Like, I'm not putting it here with For Whom the Bell Tolls, you know, to show it going up." Yeah, the same with the 40K video today with Cypress Hill when the shit goes down. And they're like, "Boomer" was one of the comments. I'm like, "Oh, what? It's $1,400? Are you bragging?" And I'm like, "Listen to the lyrics, you fucking moron. It's gonna go down because it's gonna get smashed." Like, I'm literally giving you breadcrumbs and giving you the keys to the castle, and you're too fucking stupid because everything's internet nerd rage. Like, "Oh my god, fuck you!" Like,
we live in a a TikTok environment. Everybody's just quick in, quick out. So it's what it is. I've learned this. I've been doing streaming and stuff for like over 10 years, and it's kind of one of those things. It's like there's always people that will irritate you, but the people that like you're actually resonating with aren't really even saying shit. They're just listening and doing things, and like they may not even comment or anything or interact in any way. They're just there.
No, it's funny because that Cryptomon dude, like he trolls videos all the time. And like, I don't care if people talk shit. Like I literally don't care. Like I'm busy selling shit and flipping product and filling orders. So but again, the beauty of this industry being unregulated getting back to the financial side,
Yep.
is if you know what's going to happen, you can front run the market. You generate wealth based on what you know is going to happen. You're not making a bet. You're not making an educated guess.
Yep.
If you know what's going to happen and you act accordingly, you will make money, and it's perfectly legal. It's
I mean,
like
you can do all
insider
sorts of
trading.
things that would be
Yes.
illegal in the stock market. You know,
Correct. And
insider information is not illegal in the TCG market.
no, and I mean, okay, but the 40K thing might be on the fence, but Lord of the Rings, I have a reprint list that came from distribution that has a schedule. Now, the schedule's obviously pushed around. I mean, with Lord of the Rings Commander, we finally got it in the end of February. That was initially scheduled for October. Shit gets delayed. It's whatever.
Yeah.
So
it is what it is. So. All right, man. I think we covered quite a bit.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're good. Great. I was looking at the time. I was like, make sure we are pretty late.
you sound tired. I'm still good. My wife's like,
I'm good. I'm good to go. I just I didn't want to go too long if you were needing to do something.
My wife's like, you want to come up and watch a movie? I'm like, yeah, it'll be a little bit still.
Hey, well, all right. Well, I'm not trying to kick you out. I mean, I'm having a great conversation. I'm enjoying it, so we can definitely keep rolling. For me, the kind of the questions I have, which I haven't really dug too much into. I mean, we talked a little bit about it, but it's just, scaling the business, and obviously, spending money and flipping it, like you said, is there. But was there anything else that was pivotal in you being able to grow at the rate that you did that you haven't mentioned?
Managing cash.
Okay.
Managing cash is the hardest part, and it always makes me laugh when you see Hobbiesville in Canada pre-selling shit like for June of 2027.
Mm-hmm.
Like holy shit, how are you doing that? But when you're growing, you're gonna outkick your coverage at some point where you're gonna have to pre-sell stuff. Now, you don't have to pre-sell stuff before you have allocations, but you can certainly pre-sell stuff before you have to pay your distributors.
Gotcha.
So that's a nice little pro tip. And if you're selling on Shopify, you get that money 2 days later, you get it next day. It's not like you sell on TCG Player and you have to wait 30 days to get your money, or on eBay where you have to wait 21 days to get your money.
I mean, would you say everybody needs to kind of basically build out a Shopify or some kind of store like that to where you can build your own clientele?
Yeah. I mean, if you're going to have a business, you have to have your own customer base, right?
Yeah.
There's obviously thousands of people that use TCG Player and eBay for their customer base. But they obviously pay the price for that, right? So, I think building that customer base is really, really important. And, look, you set up a retail site and it's just sitting out there. The only folks that are buying from you are friends, family, and people that want to scam you. I mean, that's it until they know you're out there.
Yeah.
So, and that's something that, DJ Pokeshop was in here earlier.
Yeah.
He's gone through growing pains on that too. And, having a YouTube channel helps. But again, you have an entertaining Pokemon YouTube channel, you're going to get the bottom of the barrel of fucking buyers that, the second that an ETB looks at them wrong, they're claiming reseal and scam and charging back. And it's, it gets miserable.
Yeah. I can see it. I feel like I've got the resources to grow it. It's just a matter of, allocating it all into this versus something else. So that's why I think this 10K challenge is great, because it's, I mean, I don't know, maybe it is for some, but it's not like that much money to put up. And it's not that much money to, kind of like set aside and let it just, potentially sit idle, but it's already growing. Like I see the charts every day, 5% here, 7% here. It's like, what the hell? 7% in a month is, good in any other financial market.
But even if you don't have 10 grand, you have 5 grand, if you can't put 1,000 in, you probably shouldn't be buying TCGs.
Yeah,
so
I would agree with that.
Let it in there. But I mean, even $1,000, just be patient, and you turn that $1,000 into 12 grand in 2.5 years. You turn it into 100 another 2.5 years.
Yep.
Well, guess what happens next? Going from 1,000 to 1 million in under 10 years is absolutely fucking unheard of.
Yep. No, you can definitely see it. All you do is you push your timeline back. It's the same thing. Like in the strategy, if it's kind of like an all or none strategy, right? You're going to basically sell everything when it gets to a certain price point and then buy the next thing that goes up at that next amount. So it's like a perfect world scenario. But there's been plenty of track record of sets doing that if you happen to pick the right sets.
And again, you have to have the level of intel where you have to avoid getting your face ripped off, right? You have to avoid that 2008 financial crisis, in your stock market. Even though none of us did, but
I mean, I didn't withdraw before that, but I definitely increased my spend on the market significantly.
You can double down and average down basis, for sure.
I do that every time. Like so let's say I'm like normally doing like 10%. Well, if we drop 5%, I'll be at 15%, and then we drop it. Like I increase my percentage up of my income, congruent to the amount of drops.
As long as it's not in crypto, which isn't really, you're fine. But
I'm not a big crypto guy. I got nothing wrong with people speculating and stuff like that, but I have a small position. I actually, so funny enough with crypto, nothing to do with TCGs really, but I was trying to sell some friends on this idea of us becoming crypto miners many years ago, and I talked them through it. They both bought in before I even did, even though it was my plan. So then I was like, okay, and I scrambled and bought in, and ended up getting I had like 14 3080 GPUs running, and I was churning so much money. We were mining Ethereum basically and selling the hash rate for Bitcoin, and I used that money to pay for rental properties that I rented out. So I paid for all of the expenses with the rental property. I also paid for my home's electric bill, and I did that for like 3 years. And then eventually Ethereum changed, how they do their hashing and stuff. So that basically killed, home mining. So then I ended up just basically cashing it all out, selling the house and everything. It's like, okay, I'm good. But yeah, so I got no problem with crypto, but it's not really it's not like my core focus.
Well, and it gets back to the whole tangible asset, right? I think the world at this point is starting to get fed up, or I should say, our world, which is the U.S., is starting to get fed up with shit that they don't own.
Yep.
Fucking PlayStation or Sony coming out and saying that we're not going to sell any more physical games. Everybody's ready to burn the company down.
I think they're going to back that one up. They're going to backtrack that.
Well, they clearly didn't watch the Xbox One release and the history of that almost burning Microsoft down. But it's a different conversation. But the same with crypto. At any point in time, the government can shut it down. They can fuck you.
Yeah.
So.
Well, they already, I don't know how deep we want to go into financial asset markets, but they've already done that by creating a derivatives, future contract market. And because of that, so what they did is they know, so people used to say, hey, I own crypto, I'm out of the system, right? Blah, blah, blah. There's only 21 million or whatever. So if we all own Bitcoin, we own the power and the wealth, and nobody can do anything about it. Well, they just said literally, fuck you. And they gave you the middle finger. And by creating the futures market, they control the price without having to control the asset or actually have to own the asset. So they do that. They do it to all assets. Look at any sort of, pork, beef, milk, orange juice, like gold, silver. Those future markets exist so that the institution can control the price without having to actually own the assets.
There's a reason why the Fed chair or the Secretary of Treasury comes from Goldman or Citi or any of those guys, so they can control the whole thing. That's why this is a beautiful place to be, because nobody controls it.
And that's the tie-in. You connected the dots for everybody. Exactly. That's the tie-in. And that's what I've tried to explain to people talking about gold and silver is now I don't want to give anybody an idea, but somebody like Rudy could, and sounds like you probably have enough. Well, you churn through your inventory pretty quick, but you could, in theory, actually create a fractionalized derivative market if you have enough inventory. So somebody like Rudy could actually do this, where they could create a buy-in where you pay him whatever $5,000 and you get a percentage stake of his inventory, right? Like he could literally fractionalize it and create some sort of like derivatives market. But but anyway, I don't want that to happen. But there's, like you said, there's no regulation. And I think as long as people aren't doing that and doing something silly like that like they're going to make a ton of money, but they would also cause a lot of problems. That's how you would get regulation. But for now, it's just a toy, it's a collectible, nobody cares. Well, once they look at the market cap, they might. But
well,
still going.
I think it's too small to care. I mean, that's part of the reason I don't think there's going to be any issue with PSA and the whole anti-competitive monopoly shit, whatever, because it's too small for people to care, and there aren't going to be enough senators and congressmen who are going to get.
Yeah, they don't even know what it is.
Well, they're not going to get stacks full of cash from anybody who wants to burn PSA to the ground because it's whatever. I work in the engineering space, right? And during COVID with PPP. All of the big engineering firms were phased out because they all had more than 500 employees. So there was a big issue where there was no lobby in Washington. So all the small engineering firms that took PPP, they all got fucked because when they went to reset their government rate for the next year, all the states and municipalities are like, well, you have to back this out. You got this back from the government, so why would we pay you for it?
Yeah.
And I mean, it cost firms tens of millions of dollars because there was just no lobby in Washington because there was no reason for the big dollar lobby to fight for it.
Yeah, I can see that. Yeah.
So it's always interesting to see, the real world, fuckery of all this stuff.
Hey, do you know Gen Con? I'm assuming you do.
I am in the TCG space, so yes.
Okay, yeah, just making sure.
Yes.
Before I say this, so a buddy of mine on the Discord, you might get a kick out of this. He just sent a picture of Card Holla, where they take a bunch of cards and build a giant castles and stuff out of them.
Okay.
He said that Card Holla at Gen Con was like 40% fab bulk. I thought you might like that. I just saw it pop up. That's fucking hilarious.
I'm pretty sure I could take it to 50% if they want some. If they want some.
I actually threw away and burned like 100,000 cards. I just didn't care at all. Read comments, I just didn't care. It's just get it out of this fucking house.
I got to the point where I'm probably gonna rip these 50 cases of Everfest just so I can start moving singles and do something with it because I'll never sell. Nobody's ever gonna sell the cases.
There is some value in Everfest singles, by the way. Some of the Majestics you can sell for 20.
Yeah, no. Well, and before the game dies, so I better get the ripping. But I'll just take all the commons, uncommons, throw them out the trash. Yeah, there's no point keeping them.
There's no point. Taking the time to list them would be the biggest waste of somebody's life.
Well, and I don't even think the rares are worth anything, so I'll pull the foils out, pull the Majestics, and go from there.
Yeah, the issue is also you can't even give the shit away. Nobody wants it. LGSs don't want it. Players don't want it. Literally nobody wants the card.
Yeah, no,
I've never seen
exactly.
a place like that.
I don't know if we're financially literate. I'm just reading the one comment here. We at least pretend well.
I don't know. Somebody asked. I don't know what's the question.
It's
so refreshing to listen to financially literate people that approach the. Oh, gotcha. I appreciate it. And I don't know. I think we both have accreditation in finance and money management at least.
I love this card because of the art. Nobody fucking loves a card because of the art. They love a card because the price goes up.
I don't want to disrespect people, but it does crack me up when I watch a lot of YouTube. I just have it on all the time, just cycling on autoplay. And when I watch grown ass men talk about how they love a Pokemon artwork or something or a Lorcana artwork, if you're listening to this and it's you, I'm sorry, but it just makes me chuckle because it's I like artwork too, but I like badass fucking artwork. You know what I mean? I literally just bought original TCG art from an artist. So I'm not knocking the art, but it's we're talking about
what did you buy?
It's a card from Warlord actually. I can pull it up.
Okay.
Put it in the chat. Let me pull it up.
Apparently Warlord's doing okay.
The Gen Con's doing okay. The problem is like you talked about.
I have a case of Kickstarter here that I don't know what to do with it.
What do you have? The box of greed or whatever?
I have a couple boxes of greed and then a case of booster boxes from Kickstarter. It came 18 months late, so it's just sitting here.
Yeah, so I do obviously I like the game. It was one of those games like Magic. I grew up with it. I think that the company, the management, they need to. I've had 2 interviews with one of the owners. They really need to get it together and increase their communication. They have sets 2 and 3 planned and they're already designing them and stuff. But they've really been dropping the ball. And they also got hit with what you talked about with Chinese printers over promising and under delivering. And that screwed them hard. They had a ton of momentum.
I know the printers are using. I'm aware.
They had a ton of momentum, and that issue just literally just destroyed all of it because it was a year delay. So
I'm aware.
um,
I'm aware.
it was.
I have a reasonably close friend who he knows Chinese printers, and he's doing his own game that's printed over there, and I get all the horror stories. So it's like, Jesus Christ. Because look, at the end of the day, they're like, hey, I love your money, but you can go fuck yourself. Like, I hate you, but I love your money. that is the Asian mentality toward the West.
Yeah, I mean, I'm pulling up the picture here, but like, I like the game. The game is really fun. It's also, the thing about the game is you roll d20, so it's very much like Dungeons and Dragons meets kind of like Magic the Gathering army building type game.
Yeah,
but you roll d20 and you compare like attack value to armor class, blah blah blah.
Okay.
So it's a little bit more casual, kitchen table-ish for me, but it's still a cool game with great art. And I'm showing the card conversion right now, so I'm gonna, obviously, I got this original. I've got like 3 other artists that I'm talking about getting their original artworks from them, and some of them are pretty large, so that'll be pretty cool if I could snag them. But
no, it's cool.
I'm a collector of art, so but yeah, it's like, but like, I mean, for me to say that I love like a Pokemon art or something like that, like I would be, I don't know, I'd be lying the hell out of my.
I've never seen good Pokemon art. It's a fucking cartoon. Like I have a couple pieces of alpha art from Sorcery that I have.
Yeah, Sorcery's great art. I like it.
Yeah. I mean, I'm not going to mount it in the living room because it's a little dark for that, but whatever.
I actually I do have some Flesh and Blood art on the wall too, but it was made by my wife. She's an artist, so I had her just do certain cards and just I got a spoiler card way back when, and so she painted that for me, and then she also painted like the Grandeur of Valahai, which is one of the fables. It's actually in our living room.
Yes, yeah. That is the Everfest fabled, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I'm gonna open all 50 cases and probably get 0, and then I'll be bitter.
So I just recently bought a case as a legit pun. I was like, I'm the guy that like hates Flesh and Blood, and talk shit about it all the time, right? And so I was like, all right, guys, I did some quick math, and I was like, okay, how many Majestics do I get out of this case roughly? Blah blah blah. What are the current prices on this stuff? Because I started selling some Majestics randomly. I still have like 2,000 Fab cards listed. So I started selling some cards, and I was like, these are all Everfest. So I went and I bought a case of Everfest for $175 out of a joke. And I said, let's see how bad I get burned. I pulled like $325 of value out of that thing. And sold it all within like a week or two. So
I'll tell you what, I will sell every case to you for the bargain basement price of $200. It sounds like a steal.
Hell no. Hell no.
That's like a 60%
hold
return.
on. Let me treat you like distro. Okay, if I buy all your goddamn Flesh and Blood cases, no, like, what kind of deals can we get on the other stuff?
Those deals don't happen anymore. They're like, you take the shit and fuck you. Because if you don't take the shit, there's 1,000 accounts behind you
that's for sure. Yeah, we applied for one. I have a partnership with that's a retailer that's separate from my own personal one. But we applied for some distro. We actually had a LGS. My partner was a part owner also of this other company that was an LGS and restaurant combined. And so we were able to pick up like one piece way back when for like, $90 a box or something like that.
Yeah.
And so like, that's how we kind of started our inventory, you buying, we got like 6 boxes of, what is it? EBO2, whatever the anime set. And like that thing,
EBO3
or whatever. Yeah. That thing's like what, $800 now. We sold like, I think 4 of them. I think we have 2 left.
No, it was as high as $550. It's right around $300 now.
Hold on.
But yeah.
Hold on. No.
You're
I sold it for more than that.
The heroin set that just came out.
No,
last
not
year.
heroines. Not heroines. It's anime. How's it called? I'm looking it up. Sorry. Extra booster. I can never find shit for anime 25th collection, whatever that's called.
Okay.
Box. Yeah, the gray or white box. Yeah, that thing went crazy. I thought it was like $800. Yeah, it's $890.
Yeah.
Oh, so sorry. Yeah, that thing was nuts, and like it's just one that's like, to your point, like. If you when you hit the home runs and you sell them, like you just throw that capital right back into the next thing. And if you can just hit enough couple home runs, nothing really goes down enough anymore. That's the weirdest thing. It's just all these games, the products, if you made maybe a different timeline, some games some sets may be a year and some sets may be literally like 3 months, but they all kind of follow a similar trajectory.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. No, for sure. And look, I mean, it's everything's going to take a step up. Even the two legends case you got for me. I mean, that's going to be $4,000 or $5,000 before you know it.
Yeah, and I'm just
Yeah,
gonna, like we talked about, I'm just gonna part it out and sell it for boxes,
yeah,
and I'll literally advertise it as like an unsorted case. A box
yeah.
from a box from an unopened case, so they know that
Yeah.
I didn't pull out the manga and then sell the rest.
Yeah, and that's honestly just watching what's happening with Gundam, knowing what happened with One Piece, and knowing that they're not going to reprint and mess the whole thing up. You have GDO5, that's $225 now,
I
and
know.
once people start to smell value, they're going to go back to 1, 2, 3, 4. They're going to push it through the roof. I mean, I'm at like almost 30 cases of EBO4 or EBO4 GDO4
Mhm.
Phantom Aria because the sell. I mean, it's almost sold 8,000 boxes on TCG Player.
Yeah,
Like Mother Hubbard's cupboard's bare. That thing's about to go parabolic, and
and
nobody knows it
they were $90 for,
forever.
yeah,
Well,
and
I shouldn't say forever. I mean, the set came out
for a long time.
in June, April, May. I think it was the April set. So, but again, 8,000 boxes in 4 months
Yeah,
is astronomical. And if you look at the
it's
set,
insane.
the sell through on each incremental set is increasing. I did the math earlier today. The GDO5 based versus Vendetta. Vendetta's outsold it by a little bit. Probably 1,000 boxes, but the print run on Riftbound is probably 2.5 times more.
Yeah, I paper handed my Riftbound stuff. I'll be honest. I had a few boxes of I can't remember the name of the sets, but not Origins, but I guess 2 and 3 or Unleashed. What is that? What it's called? Yeah, I think I was Unleashed. I just dumped them. Like,
Yeah, yeah. What they said at Gamma last year was they're going to continue to reprint set 1 until set 5 comes out, and then they're just going to start slowly roll things off. I don't believe them. I don't trust them. But against my better judgment, when this reprint of Origins comes this time, I may just sit on it because there's so much sell through and so much demand. Those boxes will go to
yeah,
five.
I might grab some.
But I haven't done it yet because I don't trust them and everything I've had. Again, and I pay $65, $70 for a box that I can sell for 250.
Yeah, that's
I'm
a
not going to
good
say
deal.
no. I'm not going to say no. And if it goes to $500 and whoever I sell it to makes money, great. That's what I want.
Yeah.
I don't want to sell it to you and have it go to zero. Let's fuck that.
Oh, I get it. Yeah, I think it's the risk everybody takes. I don't think anybody should buy anything expecting it to only go up. That there's market fluctuations, and also, like, as things sell, they hit certain price thresholds where it makes people want to list their product for sale. So you might have a 10 box per day sell through rate and 200 boxes on the market, and you're like, oh, that's 20 days. Like, no, it's going to be more like 75 because people are going to keep
that's
reloading.
That's why you see the charts where everything takes a leg up and then
Yeah.
it has a consolidation period, and then 4 months later you have another leg up and then a consolidation period.
Exactly.
It's just the way the world works.
Yeah, and it's just, I don't know. Again, it doesn't take a data scientist or a rocket scientist to figure this stuff out. You have, thankfully, TCG Player is a pretty transparent marketplace. eBay and 130 Point and all these places, you can. We live in a day and age where you can see which products are performing and how they're performing and which ones have a higher demand, and it's just, you can make pretty logical decisions if you just take the time to read the data.
Yeah, no, exactly. And the one place where you don't see that is you don't see it in Magic, because as things dry up, boxes and commander displays go parabolic because all that product gets ripped. Like it's gone because there's nobody who's sitting on it. Unlike what you're seeing with your One Piece boxes, what you're
Yeah.
seeing with with Gundam boxes and collector boxes, where people are sitting on the sealed boxes and it's like, okay, well, I hit my return target, I'm now going to sell it.
Mhm.
That doesn't exist in the play box and the commander display world.
Yeah, I didn't think about it that way. Do you think that, like, some of these games, such as Lorcana, and what would be another good example of games that, do you think they're mostly just people buying sealed product and shoving them in a closet, or do you think these are people like actually wanting to rip the boxes? Lorcana is probably the best example.
Yeah, I mean, Lorcana is obviously Disney, right? So there's a lot of folks that are ripping it. Play not so much. I think it's much more of a casual game. than going to an LGS to play it. Now, with what we saw with Wilds and Attack of the Vine, and then going backwards to Winter Spell and Whispers in the Well and Fabled, with the prices moving up, you're now getting the investor types in the market. And again, it's a strong IP. As long as they can stay disciplined with what they print. You saw the fact that they had some Fabled troves at Gen Con. It's old product. It's 100% old product. Just like, at Christmas this past year, we saw the collector things at was it Target that had first chapter packs in it.
Okay.
It's just old product. They're not reprinting that at this point. What scares the shit out of me is they clearly had the collector box idea developed before the market turned in their favor.
Yeah, I agree.
All they had to do was just mothball it. And the fact that it leaked, and quite honestly, I don't think they tried to leak it. I think it got leaked on purpose, and they weren't too thrilled with that. But they really need to unwind that. I mean, you're really going to watch Star Wars Unlimited burn to the ground because of what they did and then do the same thing? I don't think you're that stupid.
I think you're exactly right. I think what they should do is say, hey, yeah, this was a plan. We had this if we needed to do this, but it seems like there's a lot of interest in our product the way it is, and y'all seem to be really taking on to this iconic box style from Fabled onward, and we're gonna go ahead and just focus on that. I don't know, or but you're right. It does seem like, man, somebody probably got their head chopped there, but
well, they knew they had to innovate.
Yeah,
so they did.
Well, they were almost dead. Like they were dying. Yeah. No, for sure.
Yeah.
And iconic, the Fabled set really did. I mean, those, for whatever reason, those iconic cards took off in their sphere. And, you start seeing eBay sales of like 5,000, 6,000, 7,000, 10,000. That's going to draw a lot of people's eyeballs into not just the seal, the singles, but obviously the sealed. And then, the game is up at that point.
And this is where we get back to bashing LSS.
Oh, yeah.
The prices went up and the collectors piled in, and what they did not do was reprint Fabled. I would have lost that bet 100 fucking times out of 100 times.
Yeah,
because I thought there was no shot they had the discipline to not reprint that.
I mean, sure, they're going to reprint it though, right? You would think, or are they not?
I mean, if they do, they're fucking dead. I know they're European, so they're not very bright when it comes to this shit because they do have some socialism in their blood.
Yeah, but they're not from New Zealand, man.
Yes, that is very true. But things have broken in their way in spite of themselves. They got lucky with Fabled, and then they've tightened the print runs, and the demand has kicked up. So you can't create a new product that everybody wants and you leave the other one behind. Like that doesn't work. They have, I love Mason from Cardinal Games. He's like, you haven't earned the right. And I'm like, no, they haven't. But all you have to do is look at the movies, or look at how this movie ends with the games that have done this in the past.
Yes.
And it doesn't end well. Magic was able to pull it off because they've been around for 35 years.
I don't. How dense do people have to be to not understand that? Magic has hundreds of millions of people that have played it or are playing it or collect it or whatever, or created businesses in it. Magic is the backbone of an LGS, right? So
I am going to give you a statistic that you're not going to believe. In the Q2 earnings call, Chris Cox actually answered this fucking question, and I couldn't believe it. They asked him, what is your revenue breakdown between distribution, third-party partners, which are like Micro Center, and overseas? And he said 75% through U.S. distribution, 15% through big box, just direct partners, Micro Center, Costco, Sam's, 10% international. So Canada, Mexico, US are 90% of the revenue for Magic.
Oh.
And you have
a game that's
bulletproof. But it just goes to show you how strong this market is. Yeah. You have a game that's fucking bulletproof. They have tripped over their own dicks so many fucking times.
Agreed.
And in spite of themselves, they have come back to life. because they're in the strongest economy with the dumbest people with money who will buy their shit in existence.
Well, like I said, everybody's got their, their TCG side chick that they want to freshen things up and try something new because their friend, somebody that doesn't play Magic or something, mentions it. They always go back to Magic. Like Magic is kind of like it's like fucking Monopoly, like of the 90s or something. Like they're always gonna go back to it. And even the people that are staunchly like, I hate this, I hate, like I hate Universes Beyond, I hate the prices and everything.
An IP or a set they
100%.
like,
goddamn right. As soon as it's an IP that they like, all of a sudden, well, Universes Beyond aren't that bad because this fits the Magic archetypes. Shut up.
I won't buy Universes Beyond, but I'll spend 3 times on a regular set. It's like, hey, you showed them, asshole. Good job, buddy.
Yeah, it's just it is one of those things. And again, I guess virtue signaling is nothing new in this world anymore. But people are always going to do that, and those are the loud people. Like those are the loud people in these markets. They're on Twitter, Blue Sky, Reddit, Discords, and they're very loud.
And they're all irrelevant.
Yeah, because their spend is probably 1/10 of what an average person's spend is.
It's nothing. And going back to Lorcana was saved by investors buying boxes and putting them away.
Yeah, but they have the same issues that Fab does. They have the
one
very
thing that
loud.
is too fucking stupid to figure out.
Yeah,
you can't destroy value in sealed product because you're alienating 90% of the spend. Players don't spend enough money to support a game. Full stop.
Yep.
They just don't.
Because they'll trade cards at the LGS for another deck, or they'll trade amongst themselves. It's true. Like anybody that wants to argue that, like there's a couple players out there that like to buy a case or buy boxes, but they're very few. Versus the quote unquote scalpers, basically anybody who's running a business in TCGs, or anybody who needs singles for a business, or anybody who's actually like a collector investor type, spends significantly more. And we ran the numbers a long time ago in Discord when a lot of us were leaving Fab, and we were like just tallying up the annual spend, and I think we got somewhere like within $350,000 of annual spend that we knew that like just our small group of people who stopped buying the game is like that's like getting into
that's 4 times the total volume of sealed product that sells on TCG Player in a year.
Yeah, it's like
seriously, I'm not even
all
joking.
that spend goes away. Like, where's the money then?
Yeah.
But like, I don't know, we tried to explain it. I mean, literally, we had conversations with James White and other people, and we were the ones that were shunned and cast out because God dang, we tried to tell them where their cancer was and what they needed to cut off to save themselves from the cancer.
The problem is it's James White.
Yeah,
that's the problem.
Yeah,
just like look, Sorcery is a cool game. The cards are great. Eric's the fucking problem.
Yeah, well, one set every 18 months is the problem.
He's an on the spectrum art kid that surrounds himself with a bunch of yes men, and again, he's not from New Zealand. He lives there. He's not from there, so there is a little bit of hope there. But it's the same shit. So, all right, dude, I need to crash, man.
Oh yeah, it's been great. Appreciate again all your time hanging out with us, and hopefully people can get something from at the very least, hopefully get inspiration to go out there and attempt to grow a business themselves, listening to a success story,
Yeah, no, for sure. And look, I mean, if anybody has any questions, they can join my Discord, PM me at any point in time. I may not respond right away, but I try to be available. I mean, I always argue with our guys, are like, you're too available. I'm like, that's part of marketing, right? You build trust, you build relationships, and it's overwhelming. You end up responding to messages until fucking 2 a.m. But it is what it is. It's part of building the business.
Awesome, man. Well, have a great night, and everybody that's watching and that's been hanging out for this whole time, I appreciate you guys, and go check out Anon TCG's channel if you want to learn more about the TCG market space.
All right, later, guys.
All right, thanks, everybody.
See ya.